I thought we were rolling.
Oh, no, now we are. We are rolling now. All right. Well, brother, thanks for coming out.
Be here, man.
Thank you so much.
Love you, Ethan.
I love you, bro. This is amazing. All right. Today we have on for the first recorded episode of Into the Breach, Counoyer.
Hello, everybody.
From Springfield, Mass.
That's right, baby.
Navy Corpsman, Cop, Narcotics, right?
For a little while.
And now Firefighter.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah. Soccer extraordinaire.
I love that sport. Yeah.
But yeah, bro, I'm so pumped to have you on.
Me too, man. Me too. Twice when we said it in the car, twice in 1 year.
Yeah, twice in 1 year. Yeah,
Pretty soon we're going to be neighbors. I keep telling my wife that.
Yeah, right. Oh, dude, this is great. Yeah, so man, we'll dive right into it. First of all, I do want to tell a story of when we first met, which I'm sure you remember distinctively, maybe not.
Maybe.
You might have been hungover. Yeah. So I got to the embedded training team, and Buckley, our team leader, was like, all right, I got this corpsman for you, because I had gotten to the team late and then you were coming on, and he was like, hey, we're going to meet this corpsman. He's at the range right now. I was like, all right, cool. And we walk up, we come up the hill onto the range, and there you are, just like, all right, here we go, and I was like, what's up, man? He was like, hey, what's going on? And then we started bullshitting, and then you go, hey, you want to get fucked up tonight? And I said, yep. And you're like, yep.
Yeah, it's funny because I can remember going through that time, and after my first deployment, I forget how many months it was. It wasn't too long. It was less than a year probably, right? Because we left in 2008. So I got back in 2007. So that workup probably started in the spring or summer of 2008. And I wasn't doing anything. I was just getting fat and nasty and drinking my balls off. So,
by the way, I'm going to pull up that photo.
Yeah,
there we go. Cue that the photo, the infamous way I told you I'd always post.
Me John Daly. Yeah, leaning up against the truck.
Yeah, with a cigarette hanging out of your mouth.
A 3-day bender. So when Mike brought me on, obviously it was rejuvenating, right? Like I felt like I had something to do again, and so I was obviously wicked excited.
Wicked excited. Kid.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I do remember that because Step Brothers is the big movie and literally without even hesitation, you go, "Did we just become best friends?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yep."
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Nothing better than quoting movies.
And it was they were quoting movies right within the first 2 minutes, and you're like, "Let's go get fucked up tonight." I'm like, yeah. And then
exactly.
we did. We went down to the Irish Rose, and then we met up with Sprotty, and a few other guys too. I think Mikey probably came along too. But yeah.
Chuck was probably there.
Yeah.
He went on Cobra Gold for a while. I think that's what it was called, right?
Yeah, or something like that.
It was like some float that they went out. And he got to go to that jungle warfare school, which he said was pretty cool.
Yeah,
his wife there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
No, yeah, it was dope. So yeah, man, I was pumped. Yeah. So anyways, that's the origin story of us, right out the gate.
Yeah.
And then man, we'll run through it here. What was life growing up in Massachusetts, Springfield, Mass?
Pretty standard.
Irish Catholics.
Yep, that's right. My mom was a nurse. My dad worked for the post office. I got 2 older brothers. My father, both my brothers and myself, we all served in some capacity. And it was pretty straightforward, man. I went to Catholic school almost my whole life. And after high school, I gave it. I kind of mailed it in, but I tried to give college a shot. Yeah. But I always knew at some point I was going to join. But yeah, growing up with 2 older brothers, my brother Evan is 5 years older than me. My brother Seth is 7 years older than me. So they were rougher on each other, I think, because they were so much closer in age. I kind of got babied, but they prepared me for life, I think. In a lot of ways, I got
as older brothers do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And my mom was going through at that point, right? Like when I was younger, like elementary school younger, my brothers just babysat me a lot. My dad was traveling for the post office at the time, and then my mom was going through night school. She was getting her master's in nursing. So we were alone a lot, and my brother Seth was in charge, and while it was fun, it was, stressful, I think, for everybody, but nothing that nobody could handle, and we had a lot of fun, man. My 2 brothers are my best friends, and I'm very lucky to have 2 great parents. It was a good childhood, Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then when they both left, that's when it was Lukey's time, right? I was basically like an only child because they both left the house right after they graduated high school. They both went to boot camp right away. So I had 5 years in the house by myself through high school, like 8th grade through high school. And for better or worse, I kind of, I played soccer. I did just enough to keep myself playing sports in school. I hated school. And just tried not to get in trouble.
Yeah. No, I know how that feels.
Try not to get captured, basically.
No, it was the same way. My brothers, we were like, my parents worked both their jobs, and it was like, they're like, oh yeah, Tony and Dan are looking after you. I was like, yeah. They're looking after was like, get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, kind of.
Go run around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But then, I had the same way. Tony graduated, and I had 4 years, all my high school career. Just fucking off, or not even fucking off, but I actually tried. I was a pretty good student.
Really?
Oh yeah. I was. Yeah. I kind of was. I was like, try to be all. I was captain football team and captain wrestling team, and then I wasn't smart, but I was like, I worked hard to be smart.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. But I was a film nerd. Yeah, big film nerd.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it was the same way. Like, all right, just keep under the radar. I always told my friends that got in trouble with their parents. I was like, just fucking follow the rules and then break the rule. Like you can
ask for forgiveness.
Ask for forgiveness. Like and they'll be like, okay, fine. Or like, hey, I'm coming home late. Or like, sorry, I'm home late. Like go. Like you don't have to be so fucking defiant. Like get some trust and then bend the rules, man. Like it's so much easier.
Yeah, like my brother Seth, so he was going through like the meat of his high school time. And I mean, he was, sorry, Seth, I'm going to air you out a little bit, but he was a bit of a wild man, right?
Yeah.
He's gotten in a lot of trouble, whatever. But he would be stuck babysitting me Fridays, Saturday nights, during what would be his social time. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Ethan, I was 8, 9, 10 years old going to high school keg parties. And he would show up with his little brother in tow. It was wild, man. So I was exposed to that early, again, for better or worse, right? Mm-hmm. And then for better, ultimately, looking back on it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time as 3 brothers.
Crushing it.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome, man. So then eventually they just led you into Navy Corps, or like, I know you did college.
Yeah.
You partied.
Gave it a shot. And then, I was, originally I wanted to join the Army.
No shit?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I actually took the ASVAB with the Army.
For what?
I didn't really know.
Oh, just
one of my best friends growing up, this kid Matt Newsom, he ended up joining the Army and becoming a medic. Mm-hmm. And I think he was, I don't know what unit he was with, but he did a few tours to Iraq. And he was the first kid that I knew that was my age that like joined the military and went off and did his thing. And so that kind of put that in my head a little bit, just to be a little bit different, from the family. My father was a corpsman. And then my oldest brother, Seth, was. My brother Evan joined the Air Force. But I took the ASVAB with the Army and then put it off. And in that time of putting it off, I just kind of came full circle and said, I'm going to go join the Navy and become a corpsman and do what I did, Mm-hmm. So it worked out.
How's college?
So I graduated college 2 years ago.
Yeah. You finally got around to it?
Yeah, I got around to it. I did it. I went back to school probably 5 times after I got out of the Navy, like towards my last year in the Navy, and then through my last year in the Navy, and then getting out. I probably tried to go back to school 5 times. Just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, start a family, have a couple kids, and I'm like, let me do this again, and ended up doing pretty well getting through it. So. Yeah,
I think you just get older, you're like, this is a lot easier.
Yeah,
or is this, you just kind of like wrap your head around it, like way more.
Yeah, it's all right. Quit fucking around here.
Yeah.
Just get it over with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And once I got into the groove of it, and I had one really good professor that kind of got me on the right track, and then helped keeping me there, and I was able to knock it out.
Yeah.
So.
Did you go to any fun parties when you were younger?
Yeah. when I went back to school?
No, when you were in. Maybe a Halloween party?
No. I didn't go to any fun Halloween parties. I can tell you.
You know exactly where I'm going with this.
The first time I went to a party at Springfield College, I didn't know anybody. I was playing soccer there. We had gone through preseason, and I distinctly remember not particularly caring for a lot of my teammates that were there. And so I show up to this party on campus, and I just had a funnel, a 30-pack, and like a bottle of something. And I hung the funnel in a low tree, and I just stood at the tree and started funneling beers. And sure enough, like, people come over and talk to you. Made a bunch of friends. Like, one of my buddies was already there. He was playing. He had a kid I went to high school with. And I was there for 2 years. And I walked out the door. I think the last semester I was enrolled, but I didn't even go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No shit. Just flushing money down the fucking toilet.
Did you get any credits from it at all? Or you
Yeah. Yeah, I managed to get a few courses in.
Yeah.
So.
You know what story I want to hear.
Yeah. I can tell.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. So how'd you get into the corpsman spot?
It was, I remember going with my dad the first time and with the recruiter, and I can't even remember the guy's name.
Yeah.
But, they give you the fucking runaround, right? Scored pretty high on the ASVAB, so trying to get me to become a nuke.
Yeah.
Parking up the wrong tree here. Just add and subtract. Working on a submarine. And I remember him saying, "Oh, well, it's not available, or we'll take you a year to get in there." My dad's like, "All right, no problem. We're out of here." And we just left. And then like a week later, he's like, "Hey, good news.
Yeah.
We got you a spot." I said, "Okay." So I ended up being in the delayed entry program for maybe 4 months.
Yeah.
5 months, something like that. And then I went to boot camp 14th June 2005.
Nice.
Yeah.
14th June 2005.
Correct.
Dude, so you're a month ahead of me.
Yep.
Yeah, July of 05.
Yeah.
July 11th.
Yeah, I was 20. I just turned. I was 21.
21.
Yeah, my birthday's in December, so I was almost 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, in all seriousness, I was glad that I joined later.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't obviously so old that I couldn't put out and keep up with everybody. And, I was playing sports the whole time, so I went in there in good shape. But just, being a maturity, just a little bit more mature. I mean, I still think I'm 18 half the time. That's why I keep working in the firehouse, because it's awesome. But, I think it helped a lot. Gave me the ability to kind of adapt to my situations a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Whereas when I was 17 or 18, I wasn't ready for that shit.
Yeah. Well, I went in at 18.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like. You don't know what the fuck's going on. You're just following whoever's in front of you.
Exactly.
And that's about it. Yeah. And anyone that's over the age of like 20 can like guide a whole fucking company of Marines. They're like, yeah, we're not completely retarded. Or like they know how to actually respond to things. Like none of us did. We were all like 17, 18-year-olds. And we had one guy that he was the company guide. Or no, I think he almost was, but he was like 27. I was like, God damn, you're old.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
That, right?
27 years old.
Get my left not to be 27.
I know, right? No, same right here. That was like one of the, actually, ironically, some of the best shape of my life. I was actually at 27, 28. Me too. And 10 years ago. But yeah, it was like, I remember seeing him. I'm like, what the fuck did you do with your life? Yeah. I remember being like, did you just.
What was he doing before?
I don't know. He was just like, he said he'd always wanted to join. He was a really nice guy. And he was like really cool, chill. I can't remember where he was from, but he was just like, I always wanted to join the Marine Corps, and he had a kid, and I think he had a baby mama / wife or something. I can't remember, but yeah, it's like, and you're like, oh my God, Jesus, your life's a fucking disaster, and like, in my head, I'm like, did you just piss away your whole life, and now you're, and
not even close.
Yeah. And so he was like, I always wanted to join, and so he joined. He was the oldest, and he would go in and like, because the drill instructors were like his same fucking age,
right?
So he would like go in and like talk with them, and I guess they were just like bullshit and hang out. Because I saw him; he's a really nice guy, and I remember seeing him after boot camp, after boot leave. You get 10 days off, and then you go back and you go to infantry school. You go to ITB or ITC or whatever the fuck that is for Pogues, and he was there, and he blew his back out golfing. So the dude was like almost getting medically discharged. He's like, I cannot walk like right now. So he was like in medical But he was in some super pogue unit. It wasn't like he was going infantry or something like that. It was, I don't remember what it was, but I met up with him. I was like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And he's like, "I blew my back out golfing." But he was really nice, and yeah, that's the last I remember hearing from him. And he was, yeah.
I wonder if he made it. I wonder if he stayed.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like now that I'm 37 and I pinched a nerve in my back and recovered, or it's like you just pull muscle, or I think he might have just pulled a muscle or something. One of those things. You think about 10 days. You pull a muscle, depending on how severe it is, it could take a while. I pulled a muscle 2, 3, I think it was fine. Like I knew I didn't do anything more, but I was like, now my back is going to be tight for the next 5 days,
right?
6 days, fine. This is the first time 2, 3 months ago, I had that pinched nerve, and that knocked me out for 4 weeks. It laid me out. It fucking laid me out. Like I could not walk.
Yeah.
And I stretched and got in the hot tub, I was like this, and it slowly got, I was like, okay, cool. This isn't like permanent or some crazy thing. And it was like I knew it wasn't anything crazy because I slept on my back wrong. Mm-hmm. And then it just something, it didn't like it. And then
it up in the sheet somehow.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So I was like, it took me 5 weeks to kind of and I finally 2 weeks ago, actually, this last week is the first time I ran. I did sprints. I was like, okay, cool.
Really,
everything's fine. I was nervous for a while because I was like, oh god, because it's a part of my back where if I run, it tightens up, but then it loosens up. So it's like, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go distant right now. I'll just do sprints and kind of leave it at that. So first time I did that, but yeah. Anyways, so I don't even know that guy's name, but fuck yeah, it does help that you're older.
It did definitely
100%. Yeah,
made me a little more malleable to the bullshit and it allowed me to focus a little bit more too on what I wanted to do, what I was there for, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was good. I'll tell you what, I just had a medical thing I was going through the last couple of months. So I was feeling really short of breath.
Yeah.
Couldn't hack it, coughing all the time. Go to the doctor, get a chest X-ray. I go to my VA doctor, right?
Yeah.
This was maybe 2 months ago. And he's like, you have atelectasis or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And that's basically where the air isn't getting into the sacs in your lungs. And he's like, you might have a partially collapsed lung. I'm like, what? So they send me through this whole diagnostic workup over the last, say, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I get my blood work done, CAT scan, the whole thing. I go to Bay State Medical Center, which is the big hospital in Springfield, Mass. I see a pulmonologist, and he's going through my CAT scan. And he's like, dude, you don't have anything that they were saying. You're totally... So I'm the whole time, right, pessimistic, thinking, I'm fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have, turns out that I just have this giant wad of phlegm in my lung that won't allow it to fully expand by taking in air. Oh, thank fucking God.
Yeah. So
I just got a huge loogie in my lung. Yeah. So they gave me this thing called an acapella something. And dude, I should have brought it in here because I can let people see what I look like. But it's this vibrating, basically a vibrating kazoo. So I have to take a deep breath in and blow into it. And it vibrates my lungs.
No shit.
I do it 15 times, and then, bro, it's like putty coming out of my lungs right now.
Oh, Jesus,
it's crazy.
You feel better about it?
So much better.
Yeah.
I was stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought something was going on.
Yeah. I got on the treadmill and I thought I had myocarditis or something from COVID. And I just realized I was fat.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna die. And then I was a week or two, I was like, nah, you're just fat and you're out of shape.
I'm just 260.
Yeah. I'm trying to run fucking 4 miles at 7 miles, 8 miles an hour at 265 pounds.
Whatever, man.
Yeah.
No, I was a little nervous, and I literally got the news just the other day, and I'm like, oh. Thank God, man.
Yeah, that's good shit.
Yeah.
So you're coming here and be like, I might die.
So, I mean, and I'm not thinking, I wasn't thinking about it every second. I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Because it really had been a while since I felt good.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to come around now. It's only been maybe 72 hours of doing this exercise. Amazing what it's doing, though. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does suck, man.
Yeah.
Like, especially like feeling good. Like you get like those days are fewer and fewer.
Yeah.
Like I don't drink like at night. Everyone's drinking at night, but like I try not to drink at night because it like nukes your sleep, you know? Or like, so it's like, all right, you know, and then I feel better the next day. And then it's like trying to like eat healthy and like shit starts like affecting you, man. Like way more and more like inflation. And I feel it like when I eat clean, like I feel way better.
Oh, absolutely.
And then like, oh fuck.
So easy to get off track though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So you went in to do corpsman.
Yeah.
So how did that path then go? You end up getting into the, you know, kind of how we met, but your first deployment. So how did that go from boot camp into first deployment?
So boot camp is, you know, up north of Chicago in Great Lakes, and then that's where Corps School is. That's the A school, and that's just I think it's like 12 weeks of just getting used to working, because corpsmen are everywhere throughout the Navy and the Marine Corps, right? So, you know, it just gets you to be able to function, whether you're in a clinic on a ship, BAS, and everything in between, medically. And then from there, I got sent to Camp Pendleton to field med school, and I think that's another 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. And that's like your indoctrination into the Marine Corps, right? You know, I would say more than half the staff is all Marines, and then there's all Fleet Marine Force corpsmen that are also running it. And that's your combat trauma, right? And then from there, I went to RIP, got up at, I think it was in Horno, and then got sick at RIP, and they said, you're going to go to Hawaii now. You're out. You're done. I said, I think I'm done. I'm not feeling good. And they were like, well, you're a training risk, so you can hang out for an undetermined amount of time.
What'd you have, though?
Well, I ended up inhaling poison oak. And just I remember being on the pool deck, you know, for days later and just feeling awful from it. You know, I had like anaphylactic shock, high core temp, I think it was like 104. And I was just sick for like a few days after. And I'm like, I don't know that I have this right now. So I went and talked to the gunny, and he was like, yeah, you're out, you know. And I think I was done anyway, because I remember talking to corpsmen that had gone, like the corpsmen that were at RIP, and those guys were at First Recon, and a lot of them had just come from Okinawa, so they were with 3rd Recon, and MARSOC hadn't been, you know, there was no MARSOC at the time, and the pipeline just seemed, I knew I wasn't going to be in for longer. I didn't want to be in longer than for my enlistment. Yeah. You know, and I was like, all right, so I basically said, I'm out of here. Yeah. So I go back to the detailer, and this fucking guy sends me to 3rd CSSG in Hawaii. And I'm like, what the hell is CSSG, right? And it's a bow unit, supply. So I'm devastated, because all my boys from Field Med went to 2-4, 3-5.
Yeah, West Coast units.
West Coast infantry units. Yeah. And now I'm like sick to my stomach. I don't even care about that. I'm going to Hawaii. I don't care about that. And these kids are getting ready to deploy. But whatever, I don't have a choice. So they send me there, and I show up, and this guy, senior chief, his name's Mike Bish. Wicked solid dude. I walk into his office, and he's like, don't unpack your bags. I said, okay. He goes, we got a room for you, but this was on a Friday. He said, Monday, you're to report to, I had to report to the motor T-Bay area. And he was like, you're going to try out for this thing. It's called an embedded training team. He goes, nope. Guy was such a good guy, but I can remember him saying this. It's the goofiest thing looking back on it. He goes, it should be pretty cool. I hear they're going to get to carry M4s. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I show up, and there's a team, basically a team assembled. And there was 2 other corpsmen, this kid Rob Lopez, who ended up staying on the team, and another guy that I don't remember. And the team was being run by this guy named Lieutenant Colonel Duke. And this guy was on his way out the door, man. I bet he was, at the time, he was probably pushing 50.
No shit.
Yeah. He was old.
Yeah.
and he didn't want to go. Right, like you could tell.
Yeah.
So we did like a week of training. We got our Humvee licenses, right? Like our qualifications to drive. We drove around K-Bay for a week.
Yeah.
And then they gave us that. The following Monday, he was gone mysteriously, and John Dupree, Major John Dupree, shows up. Next thing you know, like 5 or 6 more guys are gone, and that's when Spratty, Mike Gerbaugh, Art Anderson, Dave Willis. I think you know Dave, right?
I think I met him.
Guy.
Infantry?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Fallujah guy.
No. I don't know.
Unbelievable kid.
Yeah.
Salt of the earth from Eugene, Oregon. I mean, one of the best guys I've ever known. He basically brought in this crew, and I'll never forget. He was like, somebody told me, you guys, they needed somebody to take you boys to war. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And then he put this workup package together, Ethan. Unbelievable. For conventional guys from all different walks in the Marine Corps, it's never been matched.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It was sick.
Yeah. What'd you guys do?
So we were everywhere. We went, we started, training in K-Bay together. And then the first thing we did was we went to, do you remember going through, there's that picture of us sitting on the Humvee. We went through backcountry driving course.
Yeah, but we did it in 29 Palms, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we were the first team to go through this process, right? That school was in West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And it was in the mountains of West Virginia. I don't remember the name of the town. I can tell you that there was a strip club there called Vixen's. So if you Google Vixen's in West Virginia,
yeah,
that town or one of the surrounding towns, that's where we were. And it was like a camping trip. Mm-hmm. And that's when I found out about became, really into Toyotas, like Toyota 4Runners, Tacomas, that kind of thing. Because we showed up and, I'm picturing we're going to be driving Jeeps or whatever. And we show up and it's all Toyota 4Runners to start. And then we graduated to Humvees. But it was like a 3-week class. We camped out in the woods and we just did off-road driving.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's sick, dude.
It was sick.
That's awesome.
So they obviously got the contract for that, and then they sent them out to 29 Palms later, because I remember talking to the guy. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Why isn't it the same? Well, that's because they can't mass produce the course, right? Out there in West Virginia. They can do it at 29 Palms.
Yeah.
So we did the first course of that. Then we went to this other contracting school. It was like a gun sight course where it was all intro to foreign weapons, right? AK-47s, PKMs, Dragonoffs, the real basic shit that we knew we were going to encounter while we were there. A bunch of the Marines went off to some school in Arizona, which was a foreign weapons instructors course later in the package. We did that, and then that same school also put us through an evasive driving skills school. So they took us out to some open track where we were chasing each other around in Crown Vics and learning pit maneuvers.
Did you guys do that in North Carolina or in Moyock?
No, it was all right in the Virginia
area.
Virginia area.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Then we did a broke down 2-week language school. Feel like I'm missing a couple schools, but we did a bunch.
No shit.
And then we got split up, and then me, Rob Lopez, and Charles Mark, my 2 senior corpsmen, they sent us out to Bridgeport, and we did the high altitude, cold weather, warm weather medicine school. We did assault climbers and mountain leaders course.
No shit.
That's when the Marines went off. They came up to 29 Palms too. We did Bridgeport. We did a team package there. And that might have been part of the assault climbers stuff. They might have been there for that too. But then they went off, a bunch of them went off to that foreign weapons instructor school. I think it was in Arizona. Some guys went to, a couple kids, I believe, went to a field mechanic school, right? How to repair cars on the fly out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. It was pretty dope, dude.
That's wild.
It was awesome.
Yeah, especially compared to the package when we went through when we were with you. And I joined at halfway through. They were still doing stuff in K-Bay. I don't think they had done anything yet.
No.
Because I got there in, I think, August or September. And me and you got there the same day. It was like the same time.
Yep.
And then that's when we did a few things in K-Bay, I remember. Oh, do you remember that Sergeant Major that came out with the IED lanes at Bellows? He'd come running out. You'd hit like a smoke bomb, and he'd come running out of the woods and just go, "You're dead."
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember it now.
You're dead. And he's like, "What do you do?"
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Yeah, his limbs are over there. You're like,
yeah, he's like bald, supermoto, former Marine, fucking gunny or Sergeant Major. He comes like sprinting through the woods.
He was a civilian at that time?
Yeah, he was. He was a civilian. Yeah.
No shit.
And you just see him like running. You're like, "What the fuck is this bald guy?"
Yeah.
And he just like taps on your door. You're dead.
I have vague memories of that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. We did a few lanes like that. I remember it was like IED lanes. It was pretty, I don't say watered down, but it was kind of like one of those things you're like, from like what you were talking about to like what we went through. It was like, okay, you guys watered this down now.
Well, they had to, they had to make it for, mass production, essentially. Right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
So, yeah, because I was saying earlier, I don't remember, I'll have to look into it, but I don't remember another team working up at the same time as 5 TAC 1.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I don't remember another team getting into country with us. I'm sure I'm wrong on that, though.
Oh, well, because there's other company. What about 1 TAC 11? Or, I mean, who do we follow? 1 TAC 9? Would have been your sister teams or something like that? Or you guys were it?
I don't. That's the thing. I can't remember.
Yeah.
That's fucked up that I can't remember, actually.
Well, I just know that there was like 7 teams out there when we went.
Yeah.
There's 5 Okie teams.
There definitely wasn't that many.
Yeah, and then 2
Not
Hawaii
even close.
teams. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's
No.
pretty wild, though, if you guys were truly, truly out there.
Yeah.
Fucking solo.
Yeah.
running solo.
Well, I mean, in the AO, at the time we were.
Yeah.
We were the only team that I know of that was out there because we had like our HQ, right? Sergeant Major Dave Stocks, John Dupree, and maybe Gunny Burris were up at Blessing. Blessing was north, I think. Mm-hmm. And then you had Team 1, which was Wesley Maida, Will Highsmith, Charles Mark, Staff Sergeant Lopez. I think that was it. They were up in the Corngall.
Yeah.
And me, Sprotty, Jose Kalunga, Mike Kerbaugh, we were down in the Pesh. Mm-hmm. And then Brian Connie, Dave Willis. Actually, Dave was like by himself. Him and Art Anderson were alone. And I remember they used to have to walk a half a day and they'd meet.
No shit.
Yeah. And Mitchell, Brian, Connie, and somebody else were down at like near Abad, I think.
Okay.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
So we were spread the fuck out, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you know what you guys were getting into then when you were doing the train up?
So, no, I don't think.
I mean, like, hey, we're taking these Afghans out, like the basic mission.
Yeah, the very basics, dude. Bare bones knowledge of, at least at my level, right? It was a team of 20. What John and those guys knew as the higher ups, I have no idea. I do know that when we first got into country, we got hooked up with our Kandak. They had just come off of their post-deployment like leave, and then they started working up again. So when we got there, they were pretty much ready to go, and they sent us down to Logar province in Wardak, and that was in the winter.
Yeah.
That was December, January, February, maybe into March. And then we got pulled back to Kabul. We weren't at Black Horse. We were at another base up by the palace. So if I can orient myself right.
Camp Atlas?
Nope. That was maybe. I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But we were. So when we were at Black Horse, that was on the east side of the city, right?
It was, yeah.
So I believe we were on the far west side by the palace.
Yeah, because I drove by the palace before, years later.
And it was up I remember the base was like up on a hill. You had to like kind of like switch back up on this hill, and it was up there. That's where our site was. We got pulled back from those two places, Wardak and Logar. And then I remember John telling us before we left, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to like, all right, boys, like this is where it's going to get real for us. And I remember him saying, like, you're not going to be able to talk to, because we had a little bit of phone communication while we were there, but not like, nothing, basically. And he's like, you're not going to be able to talk to anybody, any of your family. You're not going to be able to, and nobody's talking about this place right now. But I promise you, in 7 months, when you guys get out of here, it's going to be the talk of the town. And he said, just be careful. We'll see you on the other side. And that was it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
So what was your guys' like first days going in?
So when we first got there, Able, Maine, which it might have been called something different when we first got there because it was the 10th mountain that was there. Mm-hmm. And those poor guys, they had been stop lost, I think, for a while. So they had been in the Pesh and in the Cournoyer for, I think, like 15 months.
Jesus.
Fact check me on that, but they had been there for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I remember Jose Kalunga kept me with him at Able, Maine in the beginning, like for like the first maybe 5 days. And I remember dropping Spratty off at Cop, California, which is where we spent all of our time together. And it was all just bunkers, Hesco's and sandbag bunkers. And I remember thinking, holy shit, dude, this kid's out here by me. We're going to leave this kid by himself. There was a platoon, maybe a platoon minus of 10th Mountain, but they were done, dude. They were going to get ready to rip with 173rd, and they were not leaving the wire. Mm-hmm. And I remember the second morning, like we got there probably early morning the first day, dropped him off, and call it early morning the next day. Still dark out, Nick's fighting.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, holy shit. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So I hung out with Jose for like a week, and then it was determined that I was going to go stay with Nick for most of my time. Mike Gerbaugh was by himself, a little further south of Able, and I forget what his cop was called. I can't remember. But when he had stuff going on, I would go down and move with him, and Nick would stay with his platoon of Afghans. So I floated around that little area quite a bit.
So what was the most kinetic? Like, what was your first kinetic?
Yeah, I can remember the first time I ever got into anything was at Cop, California, and it was a mortar attack.
Yeah.
And I remember standing there, like, I don't know. Honestly, I think I was putting in new piss tubes. Mm-hmm. And, there was a fucking one hit on the other side of the Pesh. And it's short distance. We were right on the water. It was pretty bad tactically. Mm-hmm. But we were right on the water. You see one hit on the other side of the water, then one hit the water, then another one hit the water but closer to me. And I'm kind of just standing there, and the Afghans are like, they're running around like crazy. And I just remember hearing, Doc, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, oh, this is for real. This is it? Okay. So we had a Mark 19 that was on top of our Humvee. And then within a month, Nick and I had built a bunker for a 50 cal. So we kind of put our like battle stations together while we were there. And I think at that time we hadn't had the 50 cal bunker yet. So I got pretty good at the radio. So I put in the tick, gave the sit rep, that whole thing. And Nick was just banging on the mark for, sometimes it would be 40 minutes. I think that was a short one. I don't even know if there was gunfire in that one. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it would be all morning.
Yeah.
So depended on the day.
So like how often did you guys get into the firefights then at Cap, California?
I think, it was quite a bit.
Yeah.
It was quite a bit. It wasn't necessarily as much as the Cournoyer, but I feel like the duration of them were quite, some of them were pretty long. Mm-hmm. And, in the beginning, I think like when the thaw came and like once we got past that little mud season that they have, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Not every day, but, maybe you get June off, right? And then 4 or 5 days, you're kind of banging around. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, the worst ones were like movements, right? Like on a patrol. because we would patrol so thin. I mean, I remember we'd have to go get diesel gas from Able, Maine, and Able was probably, I don't know, call it a 7 to 10 minute ride, depending on what was going on. We called it the Cannonball Pesh River Run. And it would just be me and Nick in a Humvee and a pickup truck with a couple Afghans in it. And we'd roll back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
Sketchy, dude.
Yeah.
You know, you're rolling there with 10 guys at most. And a couple times you'd just be like, okay, you know, and a couple rounds would come in. They'd, you know, obviously you're not going to stop. You just barrel through.
Yeah.
Try to pick you off or take out an Afghan. But it was pretty regular.
Yeah,
it was pretty regular. And then there was a couple lulls. You'd go like a couple weeks. For what reason, I don't know. And that's when you start getting antsy, right? When it's not, when everything, it's like when they turn the lights off. What the fuck's going on around here?
Yeah.
You know, why aren't we busy? So.
Yeah. So it was like, what was the op tempo then of that deployment? Like, did you, because I remember what you said, you went on your own.
Yeah.
You know, you guys have operations and stuff like that.
Yeah, we patrolled all the time. So every morning we'd have to call in, you know, give our situation report and what our actions of the day prior was and what our actions for that day and maybe the day or two after. And so basically you're just kind of overlapping, right? You give yesterday's news of what you did, what you're going to do today, and your hopes for doing tomorrow. And then the next day you just tell them the same thing, what you need, what you don't need. So we patrolled all the time. Sometimes it was in conjunction with the 173rd, like a lot of those big movements were with them. But a lot of the times we were just going out, meeting with village elders. You know, I'd set up with my medic. We'd do a little mini clinic right there on the side of the road and then just move on. But we were out all the time. And a lot of it was mobile, like in the truck, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And the terrain, like describe the terrain of that.
So right where we were, right at Cobb, California, a little bit more of a shallow mountain right behind us with like a switchback. And right across the river was just like a mountain face. And that's where it all came from all the time. Usually right at the top of it. And there was the river right below us, and I mean the villagers would just be doing their thing in the water right there, washing their clothes, doing whatever they were doing, living their lives around us. Once we went a little further south towards Able, Maine, I hope I'm telling this stuff right, but like it kind of opened up a little more, like the river valley sprawled a little bit more, and so the perimeter of Able, Maine, which was significantly bigger, the depth of vision on like a eye line as the crow flies sight was better, you know. And I think it was pretty much the same for Mikey too, a little further south. But I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
If you like the mountains, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
But it was taxing too. I mean, these kids, the Afghans, are running around like fucking billy goats, dude. You know?
Yeah.
And they're not carrying anything either.
Yeah.
Right? But, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like advising the Afghans because you were a corpsman on your own.
Yeah.
First deployment. You know, like whereas like Sprotty and Willis, those guys were Fallujah veterans. Yeah. Not infantry, but combat trackers and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think, you know, I didn't have on that deployment, I didn't have a huge role on that. Our platoon, the Afghans too, like didn't really have an actual medic in those platoons that I remember. They had a doctor, right? But they didn't have they had like doctor's aides, right? Kind of like the way the corpsmen started, like loblolly boys, right? Like they just were assistants. They didn't have any actual medical training. I didn't, you know, tactically at the time, I didn't have much to offer, you know, a platoon commander to the Afghans. So I just tried to make sure everybody stayed healthy and, you know, just worked my ass off basically, just down for the cause essentially.
What was the weirdest shit you ran into taking care of the Afghans?
Oh, dude.
Because you're a medic. Or, sorry, you're a corpsman, so you're medical.
So, I mean, on our deployment was the time that I gave them the Imodium, the diarrhea pills.
Yeah.
Right? Because they kept blowing out our shitters.
Yeah, yeah.
And I scared the shit out of like 3 or 4 of them. I put them on... a game, made them constipated, and then they took these huge shits, and then they found out I was playing a joke on them, you know. Yeah. But you know, I mean, Man Love Thursday is a real thing. Yeah. And to be behaving like that in that kind of environment is just fucking grotesque. Yeah. So some UTIs, you knew where it was coming from. Yeah. That kind of thing. They were gross, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Just smelly.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone smells, but yeah.
Certainly don't want to get laid.
No, I know, yeah.
Not with anybody there.
No, I know, yeah. Right. Yeah. How big was your unit? How big? Because you were with like a platoon, right?
Yeah.
Because you were like solo. I remember you telling me about you were solo. Like you were like, for like a week or two, you were like solo.
So
like,
it was like probably a 4-day stretch, something like that, right? But like, yeah, I forget. They went back to get foo funds or something. You remember foo funds?
Oh, yeah, I remember foo funds, yeah.
So they went back to get foo funds one time, and I got brought down to Able, Maine, and I think I was there for a few days by myself. We ended up in a fight, and yeah, it just, you know, I remember one time they tried to, he was probably a platoon lieutenant. He was a second lieutenant. And I remember while they were gone, they tried to get me to go on the 173rd tried to get me to go on this op with them. I'm like, okay, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. They wanted to go to this spot that we've never been before, and you know, but we got attacked from there all the fucking time. And I remember asking, like, are we gonna have any kind of air support on standby? What's the plan? And I remember the guy kind of just being like, "You're asking a lot of questions." Like you're almost like you're not showing me the type of motivation, right? That you know. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. So of course I check in with my guys, and they're like, "Absolutely not. You're not going anywhere. Just sit tight, dude. We'll be right back." So I tell him that we can't go, and he made some like tongue-in-cheek comment that was like, "Well, then your sergeant, meaning Spratty's, like a coward or something." Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's see about that, dude. I was like a little rat. I go, run and tell him. I'm like, when he gets back, I'm like, this guy said this about you. And he's like, what? And he just took off. And he comes back, and he's got the shit-eating grin on his face. And I'm like, what happened? He's like, nothing. We just had a conversation. And I never knew what happened. Yeah, but the guy never said boo again. Yeah. All told, though, I enjoyed being with those kids from the 173rd. Like, they were pretty good. Yeah. Definitely, I have zero experience with Marine Corps conventional. Like, I didn't serve in a battalion. Mm-hmm. You know, it's always something I wish I had been able to do. So I know that they function a lot different. But, I mean, they did their thing out there, man. Those at that time when I was there, they were getting after it. Yeah. You know.
Didn't you do some big operations with them?
Because we did a couple. We did one into war. What was it called? The Waterpore Valley, which kind of was on basically, to say it simply, was on the other side of the ridge line from the Pesh. It was one way in, one way out. Ended up being there, getting ambushed, and like turned into a pretty big fight. But then it was like, okay, ding, we kind of know where they are now, like, because they were able to spring that on us, we think, pretty quick. And then they ended up, I was on a QRF for it, but they did an air assault mission back in there like a couple weeks later, and that's where Spratty got his, that's where Nick got his Silver Star, and Jose, he got stitched up pretty good out there. And Chris Honecker and Joe Miracle were both killed in that fight there. Yeah,
the Honecker Miracle. That's one of the bases. I remember that.
That's what Able, Maine became, I believe.
Oh, okay, got it.
Honecker Miracle. Yeah. And I remember doing their ceremony at Able, Maine, and you know that was sad. Yeah. I remember obviously very sad for those guys. And I mean, I didn't know them personally, but it was pretty early on, I think. I can't remember if it was early on. It was either right in the beginning or right at the end. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. But I just remember being like, man, made it, we'd already had Afghans get hurt and put down and stuff like that, but no Americans at that time, for me, had really been hurt too bad.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, fuck, dude. You know? I think it was closer to the end because I remember thinking, let's get the hell out of here. It's time to go.
Time to go.
Yeah.
What was the operation that you were on, though? That you were next to some guys that you were patching up around an operation? Will you tell me about that?
I was on 5-1?
Yeah, I think so. I was on 5-1. Guys got shot. You were like in a helicopter. Did you air assault in on that one?
No,
on
that wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
No.
That was somebody else then. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I never did that.
Oh,
they did air assault into that valley, but I was on QRF for it.
Okay.
I didn't go.
Okay.
Yeah, they landed under fire in that too.
Oh, no shit.
Correctly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yep. And yeah, then they brought in. They didn't, dude. We were on fucking QRF, and they didn't even send us in. They sent like people from like Asadabad, like a group from there in there.
Really?
Yeah. And I remember being really pissed about it.
The reason why, or did?
No, they don't tell me shit.
Yeah.
It's probably where the birds were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Sentiment.
It just makes more sense.
Yeah. Oh shit. So you do that deployment.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So when do you get back? Like, what's that kind of like readjusting?
Awful.
Yeah.
I made the worst decision ever.
Yeah.
So we came back through Germany, and our layover was in Baltimore. And I remember being in Germany, and one of the guys on the team was like, "Hey, Doc, you're from Massachusetts, right?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Well, we're going to be in Baltimore in like 10 hours. You should tell your parents. Tell somebody from your family to meet you down there." I'm like, "All right, bet." So I call my dad. Him and my brother Evan drove down to Baltimore. Like, they got in the car a couple hours later and met us there. And we all just kind of hung out in the hotel and, got shit-faced and, like, did what we normally do. And I'm expecting to get on a plane in 10 hours and continue on back west towards Hawaii. And the same guy is like, "Hey, man, if you want to take your leave from here so you don't have to go all the way back to Hawaii and then are you going home?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You can just leave from here."
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm like, "That's fucking great."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I end up jumping in the van with my dad and my brother and driving back to Massachusetts. They took all my gear back for me. They checked it all back in. This is wild, right?
Yeah.
And couldn't have made a worse decision. Mm-hmm. Zero decompression. I mean, I think we were I can't remember if you showed me a picture of it or whatever. I can't remember the name of the place that Travis Mitchell was in, but it was where our whole team met before we drove back to Kabul to leave. Mm-hmm. We were in a fight like that last night we were there.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit. In Kabul?
In like south of Blessing.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So that, it's a half day's drive back to Kabul, but like that last night we were there, I remember like indirect fire coming in and nobody cared.
Yeah.
We just didn't move.
Yeah.
We were drinking Heinekens and like hanging out.
Yeah.
Like nobody moved from our team. They had guys that were already there and they went to their battle stations, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be not much, but we were getting shot at that last night we were there. We drove back to Kabul and call it 3 days later, we're in Baltimore. And I'm driving home with maybe a week tops. I'm driving home with my dad. For 45 days,
yeah,
I went home. Terrible decision. So anybody out there, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Because, like, there was zero decompression, right? All of a sudden, I wasn't with my boys anymore. I'm with a bunch of people who have no fucking idea where I'm coming from or what I'm doing. I was, like, sleepwalking. I was drinking all night, every night. It was not a good way to spend my post-deployment leave by myself.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it to anybody.
Oh shit. Yeah. No, I know how that is. I think that was like, especially with my first deployment, because I never really drank much, not until after my second pump. But my first one, man, it's like I didn't want to be around anybody. You know, it was like, I mean, my ex-girlfriend was like, "You want to go to a party?" Like, and I was like, "Why the fuck would I want to go to a party?"
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't want to be around anyone.
Yeah.
Like I remember they're like, "What do you want to do?" I remember my ex and then my parents like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "Nothing. I don't want to do fucking anything."
Yeah.
You know, like I've done 7 months straight hardcore balls to the wall in Iraq. I don't want to. I'm done. Like I don't want to do shit. I don't want to get up in the morning. I don't want to fucking plan anything. I don't want to do anything. Like I was burned out.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, I was the opposite. Like I was going out to the bars, but I was essentially, in my head, I was essentially just by myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember calling Chuck at like 2 a.m. and making him stay up with me until fucking 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, should I come back? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It was not a good thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
So
you live and you learn, man. You live and you learn.
So you eventually make it back, and you had a good time. You want to tell that you coming back, getting into that house? Yeah. You want to remind me to mention it?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I get back to Hawaii. So obviously I left for my leave, my post-deployment leave, right from there. So meanwhile, these guys go back to Hawaii, and they take like 2 weeks to go through the whole process. They have to go back to, what was it, SIF?
Yeah, you got to turn everything in.
All your shit in.
Yeah.
You know.
It's kind of just like you're checking the boxes. And,
all that stuff. So call it a week or two that they're back in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And so when I come back to Hawaii, they're still on their leave. So Chuck's like, just go to my house. You can stay at my house. So I'm like, I don't want to go to the barracks. You know, fuck that shit. I don't want to live back in the barracks. I'll be all alone. So, again, terrible decision making. He's got a house on base. He was married while we were deployed. Comes back, no longer married, and no wife.
What's the rumor on that one? You can go into that. Dude. It's been like fucking 20
I don't know what the rumor is.
Yeah.
There was something else going on base where some wives were possibly like running a brothel out of one of the houses.
Yeah.
Whether she was involved or not, I have no idea.
Yeah.
That probably not. But
but speculation.
The house was empty.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So we get back, and I'm like, dude, I mean, empty. No cups.
Yeah.
No plates. No furniture. No TP. Fucking nothing. So a taxi drops me off. He's like, the lights on, or the key is on top of the light. So I let myself in. I'm like, damn, dude. So I walk over to the exchange. I buy like 5 DVDs, a mini DVD player, a mini fan, I think like a case of waters, a case of beer, and some chips and salsa.
Yeah.
Right? And I go back to the house, and I just hide there basically for like a week more or so until these guys come back off of leave. And then me, Chuck, and Dave lived in this house for probably, over a month. Didn't go back, didn't report back to work. You know, I never went back to my command. I think these guys were like maybe sneaking off, making an appearance at work, and then just coming back, and we literally just partied out of this house for a long time.
Collecting BAH and everything, right?
The whole time. yeah. And then I remember Dave Stocks like showed up with Spratty. I think Spratty gave us a little heads up that like he was coming. And then the party was over.
Yeah.
That was it. At least that party was over.
Yeah. What did he say when he walked in? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Dude, pissed. He was so mad.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause
where were they at? Or were they just on leave?
Yeah, they're on leave. Like people were just, hadn't been released from the regiment yet, which is where you were.
Yeah. You go to regiment. Yeah, regiment. Yeah.
Yep. So, they were just dotting their I's and crossing their T's and living life back at work, basically. Yeah. The weird thing was nobody came looking for us. Like nobody from my command was like, where the fuck is Luke Counoyer?
Yeah.
Which I found odd. They must have thought I was still on leave.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, that makes sense, though, because even when we got back, it's like we all were off to the winds. And even I can think of that. Like I went to regiment, but there was like a weird purgatory period.
Yeah.
You know, before by the time we checked in, but then we all had a bunch of leave. Dude, we had like I couldn't sell back leave. I had to, and I also had that leave that if you went on multiple deployments and you didn't have enough dwell time, they would stack that leave, but you could only use you couldn't sell it. It was like it had to be used while you were active duty.
Yeah.
So dude, I had right away took that for like 20 some days.
Yeah.
But then I used that to check out. And it was crazy. Like I only had 60 days to check out, and I ended up being on leave for like almost half of it. But I didn't leave to go home. Like I literally checked out on my leave because I was like, I'm getting the fuck out. Like, I don't care. I'm going home. Right? I'm going home permanently. Here in the next 2 months.
How long were you in the Marine Corps?
4 years, 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, August, September, October, November. Yeah, 4 months. Yeah, 4 years, 4 months.
You can accomplish in 4 years.
Dude, I got so lucky.
Isn't that great?
It was nuts. I got so lucky. People were like, "You've done," you know. And it was weird and surreal too because it was like running the gamut for me. Like infantry, I don't want to say special operations, but running from the gamut of, you know, infantry units going into scout snipers, becoming a scout, and then the advisor mission is a Green Beret mission. So you're doing like kind of special operations, kind of SF mission, to like run that whole gamut of responsibility, to be like some dipshit boot who literally left a pin in his flak while I was trying to sew my name tape on, and it actually stuck my company commander to, you know, spearheading mission, you know, NATO ISAF missions in Afghanistan.
Crazy.
It's nuts. And I was, you know, and I was 22 years old.
Yeah.
And like, but to have that whole experience, dude, it was luck. And people were like, oh my God. I was like, I got lucky. And they're like, you were lucky? I was like, yeah, man, I was fucking lucky.
The same thing,
It's fucking luck, man. Right. Like, I was fortunate because I guess people don't understand that kind of mentality. It's like, no, I got lucky. I hit 2 wars at their peaks, both surge and pre-surge.
Yep.
And in the most critical time of like the Iraq and Afghan war.
Yeah.
Like super lucky, super fortunate.
Yep.
You know, and I always said they got their money's worth out of me. So,
sure, absolutely.
You know, I was like, I did my fucking time.
Right,
like,
right,
I got
right,
2
right.
years of war in a 4-year contract.
Right.
That's insane. Like that's not 3 deployments. It's wild.
Yeah, I know. I think the embedded training teams were 9 months each.
Well, we got extended, so I did 10.
Right.
So I did 7, 7, 10.
Yep.
And then, but it was supposed to be 9.
Right.
Yeah. And I did the bare minimum extension to go on it. Yep. And I was the super boot my first deployment. So I joined July of 2005, got to unit in January, like January 5th, 2006. And I was the last 10 boot drops to fulfill spots to fillers.
Really?
And then we deployed 2 months later.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So then I was
in March you were
gone.
In Iraq.
I was like mid-March we were on ground.
Wow.
So within
Happy St. Patty's.
It was. Yeah,
Yep.
7, 8 months or something like that. I was on the ground fighting. Yeah. So it was wild. Yeah. But no, I got lucky, man. Yeah. So you do that, you're partying, having a good time.
Yep. Enjoying ourselves in Hawaii for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely life got better once, you know, we assimilated back and got some routine, right? Like me and Chuck got an apartment out in Kailua.
Yep.
That was dope. We had a 6 spot. Spotty was down in Waikiki. And Dave was living on base with his family. So, you know, everybody kind of just got back into the routine of what they were supposed to be doing. But it was 9 to 5 work. It was easy.
Yeah.
And we just enjoyed Hawaii for that.
What was your 9 to 5 then? Because dude, you were the hospital corpsman, right?
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was.
It's not even like you went back to a line or something. It was just like hospital.
No, I ended up going back to CSSG, and I was working like the med cans, you know, the big fucking battalion med cans that were
kind of.
So basically, all I was doing was making sure that because the rotation out of Hawaii was wild.
Yeah,
like the battalions and
dude, they're the most deployed units.
100%.
Yeah, I think at one point 3rd Regiment and 3-3 was the most deployed unit in the Iraq War.
Okay,
and I think Afghan, it was not in the GWAT. Like, weirdly, the Hawaii units were the most like deployed.
Makes perfect sense.
It's nuts.
Yeah. So basically, we just make sure all the medical logistics were ready for these units either going on their training workups or their deployment themselves. Just make sure that they were ready to go.
Yeah.
It sucked. It was terrible. I worked in a warehouse.
Oh, okay. So
I worked in a warehouse. We had, you know, CSSG, we had a BAS, and we have to do sick call and that kind of stuff. But my main role for like in between deployments, probably like 6 months, 7 months, was that.
Yeah.
And I know I was a fucking bitch to be around, dude. Like, you know what I mean?
Which is amazing because you're fucking awesome to be around.
Yeah.
But like in that scenario,
Yeah,
you're
miserable.
Yeah,
I was miserable. You know, I was
yeah.
always sneaking off to Chuck's BAS and like going in there and fucking around.
Yeah.
We had to do what was it? What's that? Rim Pack?
Yeah, Rim Pack.
Remember Rim Pack?
Yeah.
I had to do one of those.
Yeah.
And that was, I remember getting on the boat. It was the Bonhomme Richard.
Mm-hmm.
We got on the boat and like took a couple pictures, set up my rack, and then I found out that the next day or 2 days later, James Holbrook was with me. Did you ever meet Jimmy? He was on 5'2".
I think so.
Yeah, you probably met him at like my wedding. No.
He sounds familiar. Well, we ran in. There was one guy that was a good friend of yours before we deployed.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah. That's some fun stories
Yeah.
with him.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's wild.
Yeah.
But so he was on 5'2". He was with Mark Cannon.
Okay.
Mark was his senior.
Got it. Okay.
Ian
And
Parrish.
Mark and Cannon was not my corpsman directly, but he was 3rd platoon's corpsman, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew Cannon.
Yeah. And did you know Ian Parrish too?
No, Parrish I did not know.
Okay.
No, Parrish was a different unit, but Cannon was our corpsman because Vigo went, and that was the same time.
Yep, Vigo too.
So after we had gotten back, him and Cannon and Vigo went on.
Yeah, him and I were in boot camp, Corps School, and Field Med together.
Cannon or Vigo?
Vigo.
No shit.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, I'm like, that's the man. Yep. So I kind of lost my train of thought there. What were we talking about?
Talking with Cannon. Oh, Rim Pack,
right?
Yeah.
So we found out, me and James found out that the next day, or maybe 2 days later, part of the exercise was an amphibious assault mission into, what was that?
Bellows.
Yeah. Fucking Bellows, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, dude, this is our way out. Are you ready for this? He's like, yeah. So we jump on a track, float to the beach, set up the BAS during the exercise, and like 2 more days, so we camped out on Bellows.
Yeah,
and 2 more days later, they sent us back. I didn't even do any of Rim Pack. It's like a 3-week-long exercise.
Yeah,
I was gone, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, I could have been in better spirits. You know?
Yeah.
But all I wanted to do was do that embedded training team again. I knew in my head, like, I didn't want to just do it once.
Yeah.
You know? So I was trying to get on a battalion deployment the whole time. Trying to get on either a battalion, like get augmented over to one of the battalions, or get back on an embedded training team.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up on 111.
Mm-hmm. But then you were supposed to go again, or you're trying to volunteer again.
I tried,
because Sprotty took off.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember. I'll never forget it. He came over the house. Like, he and I were both trying to do it together, and he came over the house. He was like, "Dude, it was Bach, right? Am I saying his name right, Sergeant? What was his? I don't want to say his name wrong. The kid that Sprotty replaced, the sergeant.
Oh, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
It was Bach or Box. Fuck. I feel bad that I can't remember his name right now. But he came over and he was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like, I'm going back to Afghanistan." I'm like, "Oh, sick. When? Can I come?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Dude, I'm leaving day after tomorrow."
No shit.
I'm like, "Really?" So he did another, and we weren't back long. We were back maybe just a few months at the most.
Yeah.
And he went back for another like 4.5 months, I think it was.
Yeah, to finish out that rotation.
And then by the time he came back, I was getting on to 111.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have my timeline right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because when we first met, we partied with him.
Yep.
So, and I think he had just gotten back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I met Buckley, because I came over to to chat with you guys and shoot the shit about the deployment.
Yeah.
And then you guys were looking to make some moves on that team.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. And I was a last. Yeah, dude, that's a wild story. How I got on too. Yeah, that was nuts. Like, just coming in last second. And I kicked myself because I remember Vigo talking about it, and it never clicked to me, because we had gotten back from my second pump, and we're like, "Hey, you want to do this advisor thing? Be great." And I was kind of like, "That sounds cool." And it was like, in a big, and everyone's like, fuck that, fuck you, fuck Afghanistan, what's going, like no one really knew what the mission was. They're like, I don't want to deploy again. And because a lot of guys were getting out, like I was with the unit, I was younger, or I was in so late, but I was part of that unit, but they had like only like 6-8 months left, where I was at like a year and a half left. So I was in this weird quasi, they didn't know what to do with me. And I remember them talking about it, and I was like, and I remember kind of kicking myself like I should have fucking volunteered for this earlier, and then the slots opened up, and I was like, oh my God, like I need to get on this. And and I called Maddie, and that's a whole other story. But then finally, after multiple weird, crazy processes, I managed to get on the team.
Get on there.
Yeah. And then, me and you were like the first day. It was like something like that.
Best gig.
Yeah.
It was
awesome.
Easily the best gig.
Yeah. I mean, that was like, that deployment opened up my eyes to everything. It was like, holy shit, you can do so much more.
Yeah.
And there's all the people you're working with. You're very siloed in the Marine Corps infantry. So it's even snipers. Yeah. You're never doing like crazy cool joint ops. You're never working with other people, different units or different whatever, let alone NATO, ISAF. You're not even working with the Army. I never saw one Army cat.
Right.
The entire 2 deployments.
Right.
Ever, not once.
Yep.
So that was,
Yeah, it opened my eyes to like just wanting to be around, and not necessarily that they were very selective, but obviously we know from experience, because we were lucky enough to be picked up by guys that were trying to make their teams better.
Yeah.
You just want to surround yourself with the best people possible.
Yeah.
And that carries on through life, basically. But essentially, but that I really learned that from my first one, and I just thought to myself, if I got to do this again, I think this is the capacity that I want to do it in, and I was able to get it done.
Yeah,
it was pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, that was out.
Yeah.
I remember doing it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want a refill before we keep going?
Yes.
All right, fuck yeah, man. I'll grab
one more.
Let's keep going. Let's bring the bottle.
Dude, your ice melted faster than mine.
Did it? Oh shit, yeah, it did. I think you had a full one.
A full cube?
A full cube, a full one.
Oh, you didn't have a
No,
full one?
I think I had like a half one or something like that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. You gonna bitch out on me? What are you doing?
Take it easy.
It's like I got a flight to get on.
I don't care about that.
Yeah. Of course, I ain't till noon.
Not at all.
No, oh, that's good. Yeah. I think that deployment, I mean, like I said, the way you talked about too, I mean, it's like the fact that you were, it taught you how to do everything. It really, it was like you were super self-sufficient.
Sure.
Like I loved commute like radios. Dude, I was a radio operator in a sniper team. I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
But I loved being one on the ETT.
Me too.
Because we knew everything. Everything, and it worked, and it made sense. Whereas like infantry line, it's like, fuck, this is the bitch job, or fucking sucks ass, and no one ever really teaches you properly how to use a radio.
Yep.
Whereas like when we were on the teams, it was like, no, this is the M-biter, and this is, we're doing real deal shit.
Yeah.
This is how you call it in. This is what you're, yeah. So, yeah, no, I think that's, to me, that was like amazing. And then all the weapons and the responsibility and the big boy rules and like,
it sure was, man.
Everything from just like I said, we were running around in t-shirts and ball caps and fucking plate carriers to, but also they look to us. Like that was what was wild. Like I remember being there and be like, I got master sergeants and captains and fucking colonels. So like, what should I do? And I'm like a 22-year-old, but I'm the subject matter expert. And everyone's looking to me and Hyatt and these guys. Like these are the most, like the fact that the corporals and some of those guys, we're the most combat experienced guys on the team. Oh, and then people look to us. It was like kind of weird, but kind of cool. And it was also like, hell yeah, we are, because we're the infantry.
Right.
Like, this is the mission.
And it gave you the opportunity to embrace that role, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you don't. Like it's like, unless you go in the Green Berets or doing whatever the fuck else, or Rangers, or something, or like some MARSOC or whatever. But it was like that time where you could be like, oh my God, we're going to you. Right. You are it. Like you're the one doing the job. What can we do to not get killed and tag along almost? So it was wild, man. But no, so second deployment.
111, man.
111,
That was drastically different from my first one.
Well, they're much structured. So you came in. So technically, this would have been the third or the fourth rotation.
Yeah, I think it was 4.
The fourth rotation from yours.
5-4.
Yeah, so it was. Would have been. Yeah,
I
yeah.
go off 5-1, 5-2, 5-3, 5-4.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
So it was 4. It was 06. It was 2 years. Our deployment was 2 years to the start of my first deployment.
Oh no shit. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we went 08, 09, and I went 06, 07, my first one. And it was definitely it was pretty frustrating a lot of the time for me, just because like the bureaucratic red tape of, and I can't tell how much of it was the way that our team was designed to be run. I know a lot of times it had to do with the Afghans too and what they were willing to do, or at least some of the time. But dude, it just seemed like even just trying to get out of the fucking wire was like this arduous task that couldn't be done. We didn't patrol for shit.
In your first deployment?
Second one.
Oh, second one. Yeah.
We didn't move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We built that base and...
Yeah, after, yeah.
We didn't move.
Yeah.
We never,
They patrolled, but it was within, like, the parameters
That's all it was.
Yeah.
It's all it was.
Yeah. Then we did eventually, but then we get contact here and there.
Yeah.
But then it was the big push-up, when
exactly.
Star Run. Yeah.
Yeah. That was, that one that we did with...
the Iowa boys with Captain... what's his name? Talk about that one when we went up. I got pictures of us.
With Nate Stone?
Captain Stone.
We drove all the way up. I forget what village it was.
I know, yeah. I wish I could remember the name. I could look it up. Yak Dan, yeah.
That's what it was.
Yak Dan.
And we, kind of came toe to toe with all those guys.
All the fighters.
They looked like they were had deers in the headlights.
Yeah.
And we kind of were too, I'm sure.
Yeah. That was a weird meeting because I remember it was like, dude, it was me. You were with us, and like John, and Howell was with it because I got photos of them all.
Yeah.
And we were standing there, and it was just like we're looking at them, and it was this weird mutual respect of like we see you.
Yep.
And like could have been like, yeah, we could have mowed them all down and been fine because it was like they were fighters. You could see right away they were fighters. There's way too many males to be in this village.
How many were there?
Oh, it was insane. It was probably like 30, 40.
Yeah, right.
Some stupid amount.
Yeah.
Like just
That's
not even
like
it is like, yeah, and it was what they were wearing, and they were just all there like, you don't belong here. Like, I'm not even an Afghan, and I know you don't belong
right
here. This is completely out of character for this village. Yeah.
We laughed our balls off on the ride back, too.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
yeah.
But, and it's... I'm not trying to say that I'm looking for a fight necessarily. I know, but...
we were.
You know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not trying to be reckless or dumb or anything.
No.
Obviously things need to be calculated.
Yeah.
Right? But... It just felt like the red tape that you had to cut through.
It was,
just to get anything done.
Yeah,
was super frustrating.
Yeah, it was. It was weird because it was like because I talked to Counoyer and them up in Cournoyer, 5-4, and obviously they got into like 270 some firefights or whatever. But I remember talking with Counoyer once, and he was like, "Yeah, it was cool. Obviously cool. Like it was great. It was thrilling." But at the same point, though, he was like. I remember him telling me, he was like, I think your deployment was way cooler than ours because we got to do everything they didn't do, which was work with the French Foreign Legion, work with the French military, do bigger operations. We covered way more ground than they did. We had multiple
they were
valleys.
Essentially
they were in like a bowl.
A survival mode.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is, but yeah, it's cool. By all means, drop ordnance. But he was kind of like, it wasn't like what we did almost made more of an impact. Like I remember him telling me it was just like, yeah, man, it was great. I mean, but he's like, but what you guys did, honestly, you did more than us. Like he was kind of like, you got to do, and dude, like I was attached to SF. We were getting hammered with them. We'd go to camp. Remember Camp Warehouse with the French? Yeah, it was like we got to work with all these different NATO forces. Work with 20th Group, 19th Group. Worked with 10th Group. We were like. Just doing weird, crazy shit. We got to bomb around. I mean, the fact that we got to hop in a Humvee and go from Kabul bomb the J-Bad Pass solo.
Yeah.
In a Humvee into then up the valleys, by the way, up either Alisay or up Tagab into Alisay or Tagab or up into Ooze. I mean, dude, we were on our fucking. It was awesome. It was complete freedom.
We did cover a lot of ground.
We covered so much ground, and then we still had the J-Bad Pass. Remember, Howell and John had the J-Bad Pass right. And then we had Serobi, and Serobi was it's big.
Big
like,
AL, yeah.
Yeah, we did a big operation. Yeah, but I agree with you. We had like the red tape, whereas like Cournoyer guys were like, here's all the weapons. And
well, it was just kind of like once we got established, I felt like all that stuff was either before or after and kind of on the peripherals. But once, and you weren't there a lot. I got picked off. You got your detail.
Yeah.
But when we were at Cop Rocco in the used bin for that, there was like a 4 or 5 month stretch.
Well, it was May we built it.
Yeah, so call it
2 months, 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a better timeline.
What was weird though, because we were I know what you're talking about, because we were like we had built it from like March, because I came back after St. Patty's Day. I think was it my birthday? What the fuck was that? No, it was February. Sorry, February. I came back in February and we started the combat mission.
Yep.
So we were in Camp Black Horse from November to February.
Yeah.
February we kicked off. I remember that because we went to Serobi and then we did the push into the valley.
Yep.
And then we built the FOB March. I remember we did the operation because it was my birthday.
Yeah.
So that picture of me and Hyatt with like the guns and everything, that's March 12th. That's my birthday.
Cool.
So we did that with the French. Then we started building the FOB, and that was like April.
Yeah.
And then May, you're right. We were kind of like, you were getting our feet and patrolling here and there when we, and I agree with you because we were trying to push out. And it did feel like it was like they wanted to just hunker down on this plateau. Yeah. And then we were always pushing to go. Just couldn't get out the way. We couldn't push past like that last play. Because I was like, because I remember talking with Buckley and Rocco before he passed, which was like, we need to get. This is the main FOB. I told him, I was like, we need to get to the fucking north. Yeah. Like there needs to be an outpost, and that's where we need to be. Yeah. And I remember they were talking about it, and then I think when Rocco died, that was when everything collapsed. It just collapsed in. Because in the RCAC,
we would have needed another 8 months to do that anyway.
Yeah. Well, probably. I think we could have had a good time.
Could have taken a house or two.
Yeah.
And set it up like that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like I think that we would have patrolled that. I mean, the day that the farthest we ever went was that Silver Star, that battle. Yeah. And it was nuts because there's another village that could not get to by vehicle, and it was only by foot. And I have photos that it's like way more homes. Really. And it was all goat trails. I'd love to see that. Yeah. It was nuts. Yeah.
But it was a good team. It was a good time. It was great.
It was awesome. A lot of fun. Great time. I think it was just again. Wish there was way more, obviously, fights. Yeah. But at the same time, the shit we got to do and the shit we got away with is like, really cool. Cool, yes, awesome, that'd be cool by all means. But I remember talking with the guy, like said Conoyer, and he was just like, hey man, like
he's a pretty insightful dude too.
Yeah. He was just like, it was awesome, but at the same point, it's just day in day out. Yeah, it was like the firefights. Yeah, you had a firefight, but it was like shoot back, shot at, shoot. Okay, day's over. Yeah, and that was it. Yeah, and. They got into some squirrely shit by all means. Oh, yeah. They definitely did. But I remember he said they almost got overran. Yeah, but in that same point though, we did a lot of stuff that most teams don't get to do. I remember we did that ring route. Remember we did the ring route. I do. It was just wild. Yeah, and I got video of me just fucking like this fucking sucks. Like I'm like vlogging into the camera. Like just it was snowing and it was raining, but it was like just above freezing, so it was like snow everywhere. I'm getting pissed on by the rain. You're down in the truck, and I was fucking freezing. And, it was just I don't know. It was awesome. It was a great experience. But at the same time, it was like we got into fights, but it wasn't a ton. No. It wasn't nearly like some of the other guys that were getting into it. But at the same point, though, what we did, the other guys didn't do. Yeah. So it's that weird give and take.
Well, I mean, even just going back to Garrison, right? Like you put on that school, and I put on a medic school. That was never something I would ever be able to say.
Yeah, the Scout Sniper school I put on. Yeah.
And I mean, I took not a platoon, but a class of Afghans and got them on Blackhawks on Bagram. To practice. Yeah. Loading patients onto the bird and stuff. Which was pretty neat. Yeah. Through a little TCCC course and so that was certainly something I look back on and I'm proud of for sure.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm saying. This time at Black Horse too, the Dragunov. That's right here. Blackwater.
That's pretty dope, man.
Yeah. They that was the Blackwater guys that were doing the shooting for the M16s.
Okay.
It was Jared Ackerman, a few other guys, and one was a sniper.
Oh, yeah, I remember Jared.
Yeah,
He's
Jared.
from Agawam, Massachusetts.
Yeah. I just texted him the other day, and we going back and forth. So, but no, he it was one of his guys was a sniper, a Marine sniper, and we put that course on, and I even had his email and everything. God, I wish I remember his name, but he made that for me, and they realized it was the colors of the Taliban flag. Yeah. So it says 2-3 Kandak, or like Dragunov shooters. And then the reason why the enemy fears the darkness is this quote.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah. And they made it, and they were like, awesome, we're going to give it to like the commanders. And then they realized it's the Taliban flag, covered, black and white. And so they're like, fuck, well, we can't present this to the Kandak.
Right.
Commander. So then he's like, hey, do you want it? I was like, fuck, yes, I'll take it.
Yes.
And I designed this. And so he took that, and then,
That's really cool.
It's wild. So he gave it I remember that because he had it made up because there's that sew shop, remember?
Yep.
Like, dude, they were doing wild shit. Yeah, they're right there too. That's another one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of crazy. That was like, I was pretty stoked to knock that out. But you just didn't do those things. I don't know. And we got to do a bunch of other stuff, and we got to shoot mortars. We had an Iowa Guard attached to us. Remember that we were riding the Lightning on the fucking tubes.
I do.
And we had the French get attached to us. We're running French operate. It was just we go to the. Did you ever go to Fob Tour? I don't know if you ever partied with me.
I don't think I went there.
Me and Murph, man, we get fucking hammered.
Really?
With the French, dude. Oh my god.
I just we got buckled a couple times with the Afghans while we were on Cop Rocco.
Yeah.
But I remember one time me and Eric Anderson stole all of Buckley's Heinekens.
He was talking about that the other night when I met up with him. Yeah. On the operation?
Yeah. He, Buckley went back to Kabul for something, or, he went back somewhere, and he came back. I didn't know whose they were.
Yeah.
But we were getting ready. We were at, do you remember we were like hanging out at a school for a couple days, and we were sending guys up on an OP overnight?
Yeah. You
remember that?
Yeah, during that big operation.
Yeah. Was it Devastating Blow?
Devastating Blow,
right.
Yeah.
So it was after that, I'm like putting my shit in the truck, and I move a rock or two, and I'm like, holy shit, that's a case of Heinekens.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that, dude.
Yeah.
I don't care whose these are.
Yeah.
So I stole them. And, maybe they were going to be for the boys. Maybe they weren't.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Who cares? The boys got them.
Yeah.
And we got sauced. And then
because you and Eric, because I don't think I was with you guys, but I would go off and do some. I can't remember how that worked.
Eric, and it was me, Eric, Zare, and Angel.
Yeah.
That drank them all.
And I was with you. I don't know, but I think I just missed it when you guys drank.
Yeah.
I think I got to you the night or the day after, and I can't remember because I remember I have photos of you and Eric and like that night.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was that night or I don't know where the hell I was. It's like I came because I didn't drink with you guys. I remember coming up on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, where did I sleep? And that's where like my memory.
Maybe you came and replaced us.
I don't remember where I was. That was the crazy part is I remember patrolling, but I don't remember where I slept. Mm-hmm. That's the crazy part. Like I remember patrolling. It was really cool. I got photos of like the canal that was underneath. Dude, it's like gorgeous. We went up into like. And there's like remember it was just, it's weird because I always like kind of dream about it sometimes. It's like, I remember there was like the mountain, but it came to like this like 10, 20 foot wide, like the mountains came down together, but it was only 10 feet and it was like a river and it like went through the back of the valley. And that's where we kind of were. Like you were there.
Yeah, we walked that river.
No, not that one. But there was like, it was on the operation. We never went we never went that way.
Okay.
We went to this little village, like kind of little towards it.
Yeah.
But we never went fully around. And I remember seeing it and be like, God, like if I was a fucking backpacker, I'd go straight in there. Because it was like this crazy looking thing. But no, I remember we crossed the river, but that was further south in the valley.
Okay.
When we crossed the river.
Yeah, what a beautiful country.
Oh, it was nuts. I tell everybody about that. Like, obviously with the 2020 with pull out and everything, it was like a disaster. But like, I remember telling people, I was like, it's amazing. It's one of the most beautiful countries you'll ever go into.
Yeah.
And I backpacked a lot of countries.
Yeah.
And it really, truly is like one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And it's just exotic. I don't know why. Like the mountains, the culture, the areas you go into. It's just different.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
So fucking old.
Yeah, exactly. It's got so much history.
Yeah.
So anyways, but I think it's I remember you guys on that operation, but yeah. And
he stole Buckley's beer and drank all his beer. I still make fun of him today.
Eric said he had something for you. You should probably call him up or something. See what he's up to.
Let's call him.
Yeah. But I don't remember. He says I was with him the other week, and he said he was getting something for you. Or I can't remember what it was, but he was talking about that. Yeah. You and him. Yeah, Christian Osleinikins, man. Dude, I remember we getting hammered, and remember I walked in. I was drinking with Eric and Murph, and I walked in. You guys were in bed already. And I walk in, and you said something to me. I don't remember what it was. You're like, go to bed, Nagel. And I was like, okay.
You mean at Black Horse?
Yeah, Black Horse.
Oh, dude, that was a good time.
That was a good time.
Everybody, because at that point, we didn't really have a gig. Our guys.
Yeah, we were kind of like waiting for mission.
Yeah.
By the way, we were almost going to Cornwall. Me, you, and Hyatt, and Herman were literally like days away from going to Cornwall.
Yeah, if Rocco hadn't secured the Usman mission, we were going.
Yeah. He goes, if we secure this mission, because I remember him saying to us, because we had like a bunch of heart to hearts, we were all drinking, but it was also in general we were sober, and I remember him just getting life advice from Rocco, but we were also like, what are we doing? Because I remember being like, I'm here to fight, and I'm not here to fuck around in Kabul.
Yep.
And he was all like, he got it, and so I remember him being like, if we get I think Manessis and them got that mission in Gould, and for a little bit, right? Wasn't that the police mission, the AMP?
Yes.
He's like, if we all get the AMP mission, he goes, you guys are going to.
You guys are out of here.
You're out of here. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't stay and do Afghan national.
No, it was them and who was that? Who's a wild man?
Oh, Bear.
Yeah,
what was his real name?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
He was a reservation police officer.
Yeah, he was an Indian. He was like hardcore Indian.
Yeah.
Well, he was 100% Indian. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, but he was a cop on an Indian reservation.
Which now you know all about that shit.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like, 20 years later, holy fuck.
Fucking
Yeah, he was a
wild,
reservist.
Yeah. Bush.
Yep. Yeah. Good dude. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Definitely want him in a tight spot though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's the guy you want in a firefight. Yeah. I remember 100%. That. Yeah, he broke a dude's arm because they got drunk.
Come on.
And Al, do you hear about that?
No.
Oh, and Al say, well, you know how he get pissed drunk, right?
Yeah, you get hammered.
And now he would think you were saying something to him. Now I wasn't around when that happened. The only time I was around him when he was drinking, well, one in Hawaii, but that was before. Oh my God, do you remember that where he drove? We're like, hey, Bear, we're drinking down, and Waikiki's like, oh, I'm there, and he was like, I'm hammered. We're like, cool, well, hey man, why don't you catch a cab? He drove and beelined it down to Hawaii, like drunk, drove all the way down to like, right. Wait, yeah. We're like, oh my God, dude, he like showed up like 10 minutes later, like, aren't you like? He's like, oh, I'm fucking hammered.
Buckled here.
Yeah, and so, and him and the other guy, I can't remember his name.
I'll never remember that guy's name.
He's skinny dude, taller. They were boys.
They were both reservists, right?
They were both reservists. They were both boys.
Yeah.
We went to the beach like right after we all met and like cracked beers and like hung out and we were like, okay, what's the mission, and but I remember Bush, it was like I think it was National Guard guys or Army guys. They were out in Camp Morales Fraser, and they were drinking. And basically, that one guy showed up like with a broken arm. And they're like, "What?" And then someone was like, "Yeah, they were drinking." Bear thought he was talking shit to him. They were like, he got him like some arm bar or something, and it was like, "I'll break." He's like, "No," he broke his arm. And then they just covered up and be like, I fell or whatever, because like Bear was like, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah,
he gets what is in his head, and he almost I think it was Murphy. It was Murph. He almost like, it was Murph or Senior.
I bet a lot of people wanted to break Murph's arm.
Yeah. But it was Murph. But I think he had like Murph in a headlock.
Okay.
Or something. And no, I was in the room. No, it wasn't that. I was in the room. We were drinking. He fell backwards because he was so drunk on his own. And we were like, oh, he like fell back. And the contractor that was with Jared, not Wookmer, I have him on Facebook. He texted me like a month ago.
Yeah.
Damn it, not Wookmer. I can't remember. Sorry, man. I literally texted him like a month ago.
Yeah.
Crickmer. Crickmer. So Crickmer was sitting next to him, and it was like me, Jared, Crickmer, like Herman, whatever. We're all having drinks, and he was just drunk, and he was wearing the fucking all white out, snow camouflage, and he's hammered, and he gets up, and he falls over, and he's like, and we're all like, whatever. He's like, you tripped me, and everyone went. The whole mood turned. Because they're like, this man will break your arm. Like he will. He's just he was like 6'4",
he's a big guy,
strong yoke. Yeah. He was a little overweight, but like if you saw like pictures of him in Iraq, he was 6-pack.
Forget about it.
Yoked.
Yeah, a monster.
And I was a monster. And like he got Crickmer in the head, and Crickmer like calmed him down. He's like, you fucking tripped me. And he's like, no, man. He's like, no, man, I didn't trip, and like, and we all like, no, man, everything's fine. And he's like, you fucking tripped me, and like was going nuts. Yeah. And it was like, all right, well, let's not do that.
Party's over.
Party's over. Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Yeah,
dude.
pretty much. And I left, and I remember I went in a room, and I was like hammered, and I was like, I said something to you, and you're like, Nego, go to bed. I was like, all right. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I remember I ripped ass, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, geez. Pig pad, bro. Fucking pig pad.
Yep. Yeah. No, yeah. It was a good time, man, at Black Horse. I remember I had to give a call I had to call it, do air support, calling close air support class or something like that. And I was hungover as fuck. And it's like me and you, and I was just like, so you call him in. Like Rocco and Mikey were like, Jesus, man. I was like, so we call it in. This is the 9 line, or this is what you call in for close air support.
Dude,
or
that's
whatever.
right. I got my tattoo.
Yeah.
At Black Horse. That kid that did the first tattoo he ever did. He put it on my thigh.
Yep. Like, that was the first tattoo you ever did?
That he ever did.
Oh, he ever did.
Yeah,
okay. I was gonna say, I thought you had some other ones.
He like mailed himself a tattoo gun. And some ink.
Yep.
And was like, I think I'm gonna practice on myself. I'm like, I'll let you do it. I'll take a tattoo.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be like, it's all fucking motard, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be like, it looked like an American flag was like ripping out of my skin. It's arguably the worst tattoo inside the lower 48, man. It's so bad. It's all scarred up because it got wicked infected.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's all scarred up, and you can kind of see a couple stars in there, and maybe there's a stripe.
Well, I've seen it in the years past.
But it looks like a buffalo.
It looks like a buffalo.
If you really look at it, next time you see it, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a buffalo. It's the shittiest tattoo. I love it. It's my favorite tattoo.
Yeah, yeah. It's it was a solid size. I'm looking at getting thigh tats.
It's like that big.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah. I remember that. And you're shit-eating grin. I got photos of it.
Yeah.
I might have a video, but I got photos of it for sure. You
really?
Oh, yeah. Dude, you don't understand. I have like thousands from that deployment.
Cool.
And I tried getting as much as I could from everybody.
Yeah.
I was actually talking with John from Vet TV, and he's trying to do that where he wants to bring back like what you did on your deployments, like in the like whatever. And I'm like, I have hours. I don't say hours, but a lot of stupid shit. Like if I went through and really like whatever you had, I don't know if you had a camera or if you used one much, but like John kind of did. and there's some people I don't have, like Murphs and some others that's like, okay, I need everybody to go back and legitly send me everything. Yeah. I have to like give a full, because for like 10, 15 years now, I've kind of like not gathered. There's like 1 or 2 times I've managed to gather a little more, I think. And then, but I know other people have more stuff, that took more photos after, say, a certain period that I just didn't grab,
Yeah, dude, I sucked at that shit.
Oh, dude, I took so many.
No, I didn't write letters. I didn't,
that was the first one.
It's one of my bigger regrets. I wish I had written letters or, taking more pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just from that time in my life, because now it's getting a little long in the tooth, man.
Yeah.
I'm, sitting here trying to tell stories with you, and I'm like, I think.
Yeah.
Wait. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I hate having to be like that. I want to know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, what's wild, man, is I met up with Murph when we went to Italy to go to well, even I'm sure you guys hung out more for my wedding in 2019, but when I went to Italy, I met up with Murph. We met up with Murph like a day or two. We actually stayed with him in a hostel, and it was like awesome because it's like
wake up with your ass the size of the Lincoln Tunnel.
yeah. My wife, well, my she was my girlfriend.
Oh, she was with you?
Yeah, she was with us. Yeah. We were like, so it was great, and we were catching up, and it was like things that you didn't know happened because I was a corporal, so the staff sergeant bullshit, you know what I mean, like the higher level stuff that they dealt with, just because I was a I was a corporal, so I wouldn't know a lot of the inner workings,
right?
And they did. Like Herman told me stuff, you know, like I'm good friends with Herman, but like Herman I talked to more, but Murph I didn't talk to as much just because I didn't see him as much over the years. And then we saw each other, and it was like he was my staff sergeant at weapons company. Me and him were together. That was our company.
No shit.
So it was like me and him were like fucking, you know, butt buddies there for a long time because we were absolutely in it together.
Yep.
Until we split when I went to SF, get attached to Special Forces.
Yep.
So yeah, it was just like, but hearing his perspective, I'm like, no, this is what happened. And I was like, what? And it was like 10 years later, be like, oh my God, yeah, I didn't know that was what fucking actually happened. And like, Buck probably knows all that high level shit. Buck, you know, it'd be fun to sit down with him and be like, what fucking actually happened? You know, like,
he'd be a good guest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I want to do more like round table stuff. Like us three or like three guys and be like, let's just bullshit and have a good time. You know? We'll do that. We'll do that episode at the bar. Absolutely. No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, I agree with you. I think I was fortunate enough to live in the moment a little more. Like I understood what moment I was in. Yeah. So I was like, especially on my third, you know, because my first I took as many tried to do photos, you know, and I gathered buddies. And the second point we didn't hardly do shit. So I took photos, but we didn't do a ton. Right. But that third, I was like, I got money. I know what we're doing, and this is like I kind of recognize this is a moment in time,
for yourself.
Just kind of like, let's fucking do it.
That's
sick,
know? Man.
So it's like cool. I took I burned through like 3 point and shoots. Because I got fucked up on a medevac, and so then I got another, like right away I was like, we need to get to the PX. I need to buy another fucking camera. But then I'd try to have everyone's photos so I could have like a record and videos and all that shit. But
I actually think that's, you know, pictures. I envy that because I don't take pictures ever. Like I'm terrible at it. And it's like you know, you always say you're going to do something and then you don't ever pull it off, right? I always think to myself I should do better at maybe keeping a journal or writing things down or taking more pictures. And I just don't, man. I just kind of cruise. You know, but it's a lifelong. It's a lifelong task, right? That gets easier the more you do it. Just like everything
journaling,
else.
That's the word. Like I used to love writing. And I don't write as much. And drawing, I was a fucking artist. Like I was a drawer. And I haven't done that since like high school. But like the writing journalism aspect of it, like, I gotta take it. I tried that as a kid. It just didn't. Sometimes it clicks. Sometimes it just doesn't. It doesn't take. You know, I was like, well, maybe I should do audio. You know. And that's why the first time I did podcasting was I did 10 episodes before COVID hit. But that was kind of the initial thought with that was I want to capture like stories and like also it was just like for my kids. Like absolutely. If you got to hear what your grandfather talked about, not like what he did in his life, but like what his thoughts were at the moments in time. Like, Grandpa thought Star Wars Episode 9 sucked balls. Here's this 2.5 hour review with his buddy Nate. Of them talking shit about Star Wars. Like, you would kill to have them talk shit about Charlie Chaplin. Like, this fucking, you know, this fucking kid. What is he doing? Running around with a
fun of MASH.
He's got a fucking mustache and a fucking hat. Whatever, you think he can't go to fucking work? Like, what?
No, it's so true.
You know what I mean? Like, and so I remember initially, and then refiring this up again now, you know, it's like, it's almost like podcasting's like almost that thing. It's like, hey, we are close to 40, but at least we can now recall our stories from our 20s. And be like, all these things we can capture, and it can be for whoever the fuck wants to listen to it. You know, whether it be on YouTube or just my kids. Hey, check out Dad's library or whatever. So, and I think the photos were like that before podcast. You know, it was like, I just need to take photos. You know, and I can give them all the photos of you. I can give you everything. You know, and I got photos of you. I got all sorts of fucking shit about us.
You got a file that says Luke?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
I got a video of us, like me fucking with you. Like, you know, like, you know, and all sorts of stuff like that. And like, and photos and man. Like, that's one of my favorite photos of you in a headlock. And I'm like, I got the tattoo I got the night bore we left. And it's still, and I had it has
you got the cellophane
lotion.
around it?
No, I got lotion on it because it was like drying up. And I got you in a headlock and we're in Okie and we're smiling like, you know, that's one of my favorite photos of all time. Photo. And you're like, it's one of my favorite photos of us.
I think it was with us when I fell asleep on the side of the road one time with my head up against like on my pack, up against the wheel well of a Humvee, and there's just goats. Like some goat farmer walked up. Did you ever see this?
No, I didn't see a
photo.
yet, no.
I forget who took it. It might have been Murph who took the picture.
Yeah.
We were, on the side of the road taking a break or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd been driving for, call it, all day, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So I just got out, and I'm like, I'm going to rack out for 20 minutes. We're good. And some goat farmer comes up, and he's chatting it up with the Afghans, doing whatever, and there's a photo of me with just goats, basically, like, in my face.
Dude, I'd never seen that photo. Yeah. See, that's probably like, because I gathered photos from a certain point. It was almost like April or March or April. And then after that, I didn't get people's photos or something. It was like, I remember I got up to a certain point.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then, but I remember getting a few people, I don't know if it was Murph's or somebody else. I managed to get like another hard drive from somebody that had more stuff. It might have been Buckley or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, it was wild. But I remember being like, oh, here's all these new photos or whatever. Because I got photos of me that I didn't take, that like somebody
else took.
Yeah, like Zare took that photo that's going up here for the podcast is literally like I'm on a APC and I'm looking down the valley and like with the Afghan with the Dishka and we're riding into the valley and you see the mountains and the road and it's like
Sick,
we're going into it and it's like and Zare took it.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was Zare. Yeah, I think it was Zare, and it was just like. Okay. Yeah. It's fucking one of the best photos I've ever seen, and I didn't fucking take it. It was theirs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And even with Zare, I got fucking, I tried to take as much photos as I could of everybody.
Yeah.
Like me and Eric, like I got to give him some photos because I know
he'll
probably be like, oh, this is me and Ethan,
on
operations together. But yeah.
So cool, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to take a look at those.
Yeah. But no, yeah. Fuck yeah, man. So, all right. we gotta off the track.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I'm
do this shit for hours, right?
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, we're already on hour 45.
Okay.
It's easy.
Cool.
But so you took off. I remember. Okay, so you did the corpsman school, and we were, on deployment and stuff like that.
Yep.
Did you do anything else? I mean, I took off I remember I went home on R&R. What was other stuff we did, like when we were in Serobe and stuff like that? I also do remember us buying out all of the Heinekens in Serobe district.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah. Like we set up, me and Angel, we set up that big med cap.
Yep, I do remember
that.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of doctors from like Doctors Without Borders and stuff like that. Had them brought out to the Uzbin and that was actually, I had done a couple on my first deployment, but they were really small.
Yeah.
And I utilized like the local clinic doctors.
Yeah.
This one, we brought in people basically from all over the world that were volunteering or working in Kabul. We brought them out to the Uzbin.
Yeah.
Which, thinking back on it now, is pretty cool on them for wanting to come out and do it.
Yeah.
Remember, the clinic was off base. It was outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
So me and Angel did that
it was
together.
like that building.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was an old clinic. It wasn't even in operation at the time.
Exactly.
Yep. So we treated a few hundred people at least that day. That was a cool thing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed doing that. What else did we get done? I mean, like I said, I set up that TCCC class, got every platoon in our Kandak, quote unquote, a couple certified medics for their platoon, and Doc Squires was big in helping me on that. I mean, we did that together. I'll say that. Yeah, that was awesome. Other than that, dude, it was just kind of like taking care of the boys. I mean, that was the best part about my job as a corpsman. I didn't have to do anything else other than just like basically love you guys.
Yeah.
Right. And it made the job really easy. Just had to take care of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
If you got sick, like guys got sick a lot on that deployment. Way more. I mean, I was caring for a lot more people. It felt like 20 guys isn't a lot of people, but
that's a lot.
We were caring for 20 guys, and you remember when we were first building the cop, we had that wicked bad bout of flu go through the unit.
I must have missed it, but
when we were first building in the Uzbin, everybody got sick.
I remember you guys so I was up on the ridge line, and I slept in a BMP tank trench.
Nice.
For like 2 weeks. Yeah, and you guys were building, and I remember you're like, I woke up,
Yeah, in a puddle.
like, in a puddle.
Yeah,
yeah, and you're like,
'cause it was mud season.
and you're like, I
Right.
could feel myself get sick. And I was like, oh, okay.
And so everybody got sick.
Yeah, everybody got sick. Yeah,
You know, so you just take care of the boys, and that's about it, man. I mean, it was awesome.
yeah,
Luckily, nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, obviously, except for Rocco.
yeah,
But you were there that day too, so
Yeah.
you know exactly what happened there. But no, it was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I was definitely more confident in that one. You know, I wasn't the senior corpsman, but I was the most experienced one at that point, because it was definitely Dave and Angel's first deployment. I think Dave was in E5 during that deployment, but
yeah.
you know, we just kind of bounced things off each other. I always made sure to try to go to him first.
Dave was solid.
Oh,
dude,
very solid. Very solid.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah,
Very, very smart. Really
Yeah.
smart guy. Really brave guy.
yeah.
Yeah. And
I
he was
remember
totally down for the cause.
they're in the he's so
Doc
quiet.
Holliday.
Doc Holliday, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was they're in that, they got hit on the patrol I was leading, and they were the middle element. And so that one of the guys that was with him was like, he was driving the Humvee,
Yeah.
and they got hit with an
back,
RP.
dude.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, we're getting hit. And he just looks at me and goes, well, maybe you should shoot back.
Yeah. Exactly. Imagine hearing that shit in your ear.
Yeah.
You're all
Yeah.
nervous, fired up, unsure what to do.
Yeah.
The kid driving's just like, well, maybe you should just shoot back.
Yeah, dude, they got hit with an RPG.
Yeah.
Like, it was a fucking he's got all the photos. We took the
Yeah.
photo, and I remember that because me and Rocco were eating MREs on on the Humvee, on the hood, and I was patrol leader that whole thing. So I coordinated that or whatever, and we were talking. I remember eating with Rocco. We're like, all right, and it was you hear we like look at each other and you hear the we're like,
Yeah.
we threw everything off the Humvee hood.
Yeah.
Jump in the car or in the Humvee, and we're fucking rolling down. I remember just hopping. I was like, hey, you know, weapons condition 1, weapons free. And I was like, you see anything, you light it up.
We were actually me and Buckley, and I think Eric were ahead of you guys.
You might have been.
We were on the other side of that ambush.
Yeah. Because
We came back.
Yeah, so did we. So you might have been with us.
Yeah,
It might have
maybe.
been the same because we were ahead.
Okay.
So I was lead element.
We were all
we were
together.
together because I
We were
got
all
photos
together.
of you and Rocco and everyone at the
school.
At the school.
That's
Yep.
right.
I got everybody. Yep. I got pictures of that.
It's a great photo.
Yeah. And you and Rocco walking together, and like I took a bunch of photos. I have a photo with the kids. And then we went, that was the furthest we had gone north. And then we had to do a bounding.
Yep.
Because we were getting, and they hit the middle element.
Right, that's right.
And then we came back, and then that was kind of,
You got a fucking good memory.
yeah. Well, I try to, I don't know. It jogs it, but it does definitely start to wane a little bit.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I like getting around guys, because it makes me say it out loud.
I never talk about it. You know?
Yeah.
Which is
I don't know. Maybe
like
I think about it too much. Maybe I don't know.
no. It's not that. It's not that. I just like I'm not going to talk about it with anybody else but you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
not around anybody really. So
I guess
good.
over the years it was just like
because as you're telling me stuff, I'm like, oh my god, that's right.
yeah.
right.
Well, that's what I do with that's why I like getting to go with you or Murph or
Yeah.
somebody that's like the other aspect.
Yeah.
Because honestly, dude, it's been fucking almost 15 years.
Yep.
And I know there's people I didn't talk to on the Silver Star battle.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Buckley about it.
Really.
I know we've talked about it, but we have
Yeah.
never been like, what fucking happened? Or talked to Zare. Zare came and got us.
Yeah.
The National Guard boys, like Murph came and got me.
Right.
Zare came and got me.
Yep.
Buckley came and got me. What all the
radio
Murph.
call like?
Yeah.
What was all that
What
stuff
was that like? You guys, I know I have a
that
general
perspective on
idea.
it? Yeah.
There was another PRT team, National Guard team that came out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, I know we had killed 25 guys on that mission.
Yeah.
That we had seen hand counted.
Yeah.
That we had seen. So 25 dudes that I had been like, I remember talking with everybody, and I remember 24 to 25 guys. We had KIAs, we had confirmed kills.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, so, but there's more, you know.
Yep.
So the intel guy. So I met up with Jared Shuey. In fact,
yeah.
I think I'm going to try to get him. He's already been like, yeah, let's come out, and he was side by side with me in that battle.
Yep.
And we had talked years later.
Was he the Delta?
No, he was the Bravo.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the Delta was with me too. So Delta technically was side by side with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and Shuey together
I'm in a picture with that kid.
Yeah.
Where we blew the guts out of that little spy.
Yeah.
Little forward observer.
Yeah. No, the Delta. Yeah, Stovall. Yeah, Stovall. Yeah, and I got video of me and Shuey and Avlag up on the ridge because I called that mortar mission in. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, what's going on down there?
You called it in. It was my idea. You called it in.
Yeah, and everyone.
They're flying full birds in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Who cares?
Dude, I remember that whole. Yeah.
Who the fuck cares?
I know. Well, I remember
that was part of the frustration of that deployment.
It was because, well, I won't say the blame game was going back and forth, but it was, and they came to me, and I was like one of the last ones, and they're doing their little investigation. And I remember I came up, and finally I just like walked up. I remember they're like, "What happened?" You know, like, "Hey, there's SF saying this, your team's saying this," and I said, "I called it in. It was my mortar mission. The kid shouldn't have been up there or shouldn't have been in that area.
He was doing his job."
Yeah. I was like, I did my job. This was part of the mission.
Yeah.
And he got hit. What else do you need? I said, I called it in. No one else did.
Right.
And I remember them looking at me. It was the sergeant major, like what the fuck his name was.
Yeah.
That we all didn't like. And he was like, they were kind of like, oh, okay. And I was like, I called it in. That was me. If anything, no one else is
tapes, man.
Yeah, it was. It pretty much was. I was like, no, it's no one else to blame but me. But
right.
that's what it. That's But I said, I remember this was part of the mission. This was part of the operational planning. Kid shouldn't have been there. End of story. It's a known Taliban stronghold. It's a known Taliban outlook post.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have been there. What do you? That's it.
He's fucking Taliban.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's what the fuck. Who is up there at 6 a.m. in the fucking morning when the sun's going? No, he's not. And even the village elders were like, shouldn't have been there. Why is this an issue? And so it's it's just one of those things.
He lived.
Yeah, he did. He lived. Yeah, he lived. Yeah. So.
Boy was on scene, kid.
Yeah, he lived. He was fine. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I'm sure it's not the best.
Definitely not fine.
Yeah, he's definitely. He said the kid's definitely not fine. He's not fine. I mean, he's gotten older now. He's probably well into his 20s. Yeah. Or we're 30s. He's probably in his 30s now. Yeah. But yeah, it's I remember that happened, and that was like.
I remember him not being as young as people thought.
No, he was old. Yeah, because everyone was. I remember, and I never knew. I didn't know, but I stood by my shit. I was like, I called the fire mission in. It was my mission. I made the call.
Yeah.
I made the adjustment or whatever it was, and that was part of the mission planning. It was a no Taliban hang. I was not going to go up there until we hit it because they had. We were there when they shot at the French.
Right.
It was a fucking fortress.
Yep.
So I'm not going to go up there fucking blind.
Yeah, no.
We're going to hit this.
Recon by fire.
Yeah, recon by fire. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Worked out, bro.
Yeah, it worked out. It was fine, but it was like me and Shuey's guys, like Southern 20s, like, man, I don't know what's going on down there. Yeah, and I got a video of like me and Shuey and Aflag and all this stuff. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like the birds coming in.
Yeah.
It's like way far out. I mean, it's it's on a point and shoot from fucking 2009. But
do you remember when the father brought his son to the gate?
Yeah,
he dumped that pot of chai on him.
Yeah. I remember you medevaced him. We got photos of that. They took photos of you. Somebody took a photo of you.
Rocco took.
Was that Rocco's photo?
Rocco took a photo of me there.
Yeah.
That was another one. That was something to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember him telling us it was an accident, and I remember just knowing like,
yeah,
bro, you did that to him on purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was burned bad.
Yeah. I remember that kid.
Yeah.
Because he was a baby. He was only like...
maybe a year. Less than a year.
Less than a year. I mean, I'm holding my son.
Yeah.
He's probably 6 months, if that.
Yeah.
He was small.
Yeah, he was a little kid, but he was a little older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not by much, though.
No.
Yeah.
You could tell he'd been sitting Indian style because it was all the way inside his legs. And up his belly.
Just fucking...
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, let me take it to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
No, yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember the Afghan soldier that got killed by a backblast from an RPG?
No.
Yeah.
Did not know about that.
Yeah.
Here we are 19 years later. No, I don't know anything about, or 14 years later. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
What was that one?
He got basically.
Well, I know the backblast.
He got burned.
When was it though?
Dude, my timeline's a mess. I have no idea.
Give me the scenario because I could probably place it for you.
It was probably like May, and they were riding back to the Uzbek, I think, and took like a small piece of contact. I don't think there was any Americans with them.
Oh, okay.
And they let an RPG or two go, and he was just standing right there. Yeah, and like we had set up a little BAS on Rocco.
Yeah.
We had a tent, and I remember having to pronounce him.
No shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but that had to have been,
I think I'm remembering that story right.
Yeah.
But now in my head, I feel like it might have been a rollover, but it wasn't.
No.
It was that.
Yeah, because I don't remember any Afghans getting a rollover.
Yeah.
And someone dying of a backblast would Afghans would be like,
I just remember being in the room and like working on him, and it was probably an hour after it had happened. They had brought,
I mean, you're fried. I don't even know if you can. I don't know what's coming back from that.
Yeah, and and I remember just like being in the room and having him on the table and like having to call it.
Yeah,
and just it being kind of awkward.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's being kind of awkward.
Kind of like looking over like, okay, I'm going to do this now. Everybody ready? I'm going to say it's done kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember being upset about it. That was one other thing that happened. I'm trying to remember some other stuff.
I never knew that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the small details, man, the small stories.
Yeah.
Because I remember going with Rocco. It's me and him. I drove the fucking Humvee down to that middle OP, down the road, down the Uzbek road. They had like 2 or 3, and it was like the next one. And he was like, "Hey, it'd be me and you." And he won in the gunner spot, and then I drove.
Love that gunner spot.
Yeah, and I drove, and I fucking had to wear my NVGs, man.
Yeah.
And I was just
I remember that.
white knuckling it, but it was just me and him. It was me and him went, and we spent the night with the Afghans.
Yeah.
And I remember just talking with them all night, and we like looked at the stars.
Dude, fucking the best.
It was the best.
Yeah.
I remember trying to like soak up a lot of that. Like
Yeah.
I remember being in the moment and being like, "This is a moment I want to be."
Yeah.
Like. And then and so I think that's why I took a lot of the photos. I remember a lot of the conversations.
Yeah.
I tried getting photos of him. Like, there's not a lot of me in him. In fact, I don't know if there is any of me and him. I took a bunch of him. You know what I mean?
You said just a few minutes ago that you have pictures of he and I together. I've never seen one.
Walking side by
the only one
side.
I've ever seen with me and him is the one in that school.
Yeah, so walking side by side. I have candid photos of people. I took a lot of candid stuff, and so yeah.
No kidding.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I remember
out there.
Yeah, I remember those nights. It's like and that's what I said. I think that was what's cool because that separated us from 5-TAC-4 and the Corps and Golf.
Yeah,
like it's cool, it's sexy, but you don't have.
Well, simply having him as a team leader just separates
it was nuts.
us.
Well, I remember going into that. Dude, we went into that one when we recovered some of the airdrops that got fucked up. And we went into that one village next to us over the ridge. Remember that one? Counoyer. I don't know if it was Counoyer.
Yep.
And so we went over it, but then we went up the fucking waterfall. It was like a dried out waterfall at the time. I don't know if it probably flows in the spring.
Yep.
So we went up the waterfall into the top. We crested to the top of this ridge, and it's another plateau.
Yep.
All poppy field. It's like poppy fields, and it was just like gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I got photos of Howell looking down in towards Cabra into the valley, and it's like it's just like it's insane.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I'm
sick.
It's sick. It's just absolutely sick. Yeah, it's like everything there is just it's gorgeous. You could walk around there for weeks and months and just take photos. I remember.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was another time, but it was wild. That's the one thing I do kick myself for never going back as a civilian before the fall.
Really?
Yeah, I always wanted to. I should have. I had the time. I had the money. I was always like, I'll go back. Maybe I'll do a journalistic thing. Or it was one of those things where it's just kind of like I backpacked and I do still travel.
Yeah.
And I was backpacking back then. I was like, it'll always kind of be like I thought of it as Vietnam. It'll eventually end. It'll always be there, and I'll be able to go back. And I thought it as Vietnam. Yeah. But it didn't. Now it's like, dude, good luck. And I have a buddy who's coming on next. He's the next guest, Nick Laidlaw. And he was like, he got in contact with, he goes, how would you feel about going back to Afghanistan? I was like, okay, 1, how? 2, probably not.
Right.
And he goes, well, because I was like right away, I was like, well, I'm going to probably end up killing somebody and then trying to get my interpreters out. Like, I don't know, that urge is still there.
Of course.
And he goes, well, there's a British company that's sending people in and they don't mess with you. I was like, they don't mess with you. There's like 8 different terrorist groups there right now. I was like, the Taliban can't guarantee so it's the Taliban's trying to like basically do a PR move where they're like, it's safe. And I'm like, to an extent, like every valley is different and the Taliban doesn't control every valley, you know? And so, and he was like, yeah, it's still shady. I was like, yeah. And I'm a fucking American veteran, that served multiple, I was there 8 times. Like,
right.
I'm not, you look at my Facebook, they'll snatch me up in a heartbeat and and it becomes a whole thing. Like, yeah. And so I guess so he was like, well, I was like, not really. I mean, like,
really?
I mean, the risk would be insane. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's no reason to go.
There's no reason to go, especially if they're guiding the tours.
Yeah, you're not allowed to go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other thing too is I was like, even if I felt safe, it would be like, I would have felt more safe during the war.
Yeah, 100%.
Than now. Yeah. I mean, like, all it takes is whatever, ISIS group, because ISIS is there.
Yep.
There's like other offshoots of Al Qaeda there. Now there's like, Taliban doesn't control them.
Okay.
ISIS-K and Taliban are fighting each other right now.
Right.
Like, they don't have control of what the fuck's going on.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's Wild West again.
It is wild. Yeah. It's like a black hole.
Yep.
I think that no one talks about obviously what this new administration does, but like it's a black hole. Like we don't even have CIA assets on the ground.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh no, we don't. Like no, we don't. It's fucking a black hole. I have friends in the community. No one is there.
Yeah.
It's all coming out of the National Resistance Front or just some of the intel flowing in from maybe people that are there. It's
really.
Yeah. Like,
dude, I got to tell you, man. I mean, after that whole fiasco, I just shut down on it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
I give it.
Yeah, I think
flush it all down the toilet. Go ahead, man. Let them do what they got to do.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah,
I
think this is one of those things though too. You're like, well, I don't know. I mean, strategically, you can think about it. It's like we gave up a foothold in that area of the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you talk about strategically, it's like, the money that we were spending. It's like you didn't get that back on your taxes. You didn't get that back for fucking free college. You didn't get free healthcare. So what did it matter? But now we've plunged an entire country into the fucking Middle Ages.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? Like at least the most you could have like, well, what was the point? It's like, what's the strategic foothold?
Yeah.
That's it. Just fucking hold it. I don't know. Like but now it's like, dude, it's gone. Like really? It's gone. Yeah. I mean, even the NRF is, God bless them. The new, dude, they've lost like 50-60% of the fucking Panjshir Valley. Like it's barely there, and any type of resistance is, other than maybe, they might see how things kind of pan out now, so I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Fuck it, bro.
Yeah. So there ain't going back anytime soon.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That's one time
Keep doing the other stuff you're doing, though.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. No, well, I like I said, I miss going into, I wish I would have gone back to try to push into those valleys. Like, to go back to Serobe. I ran into a kid because I was a cinematographer on a documentary 2 summers ago, or last summer, not this summer, but last summer. Mm-hmm. And I ran into a kid, and I was like, and we were basically following around an Afghan commando as he kind of adapts to life.
Oh yeah, you told me you were doing that.
Yeah. So we did
down south, right?
Yeah. We went from like East Coast down south.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we ran into a bunch of other like Afghan commandos that were. I mean, this is years separated though. I mean, the guy we followed didn't even join till like 2015. You know what I mean? Wow. So I mean, like, and I was like, yeah, I was there in 2008-9. He's like, I was like, basically, we were there when the Afghan commandos got stood up.
Yep.
And he's like he's like a younger guy, officer, and they managed to get out on the evac, all this stuff. So we were following him, and I ran into a kid that was from Serobe, and he was like a 21-year-old special force. He was a special forces A&A commando, 20 years old, like yoked. He was like, bodybuild John Cena type.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I was like, yeah, and we were talking. I was like, oh, because he was like, I want to do Special Forces, U.S. Special Forces. So they were trying to he was trying to work it so he could join the U.S. Army on a green card or whatever and become Special Forces. Anyway, so we were talking, and I was like, yeah, I was in Serobe. That's why. He's like, oh my God, I grew up in Serobe. This kid's fucking 21. So you do the math. This is 2021. He was born in 2000. So he was 9 years old. Yeah. He was like 9 years old when we were there.
Yeah.
And I showed him a photo. I pulled it up on my Facebook. I was like, here, check it out. And it was me and Murph walking around Serobe because we had done some patrols with the French.
Yeah.
And he's like, holy shit, there's fucking trees there.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. He goes, the trees aren't there anymore. He goes, they were gone before the fall. He goes, they cut them down or did something.
Really?
Yeah. He goes. So I have photos of his hometown when he remembers as he was like an 8, 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's wild. So he was like, oh my God.
Any idea where he is? What he's doing right now?
He was in Texas. I'd have to call the director to see where we were.
Yeah.
It was that. It's kind of like that party spot in Texas where they do, they like dock ships and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's on the coast.
Corpus Christi? Not that.
Close
Navy's
though.
there, though.
Close, not Corpus Christi. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But we rented an Airbnb and they did this whole like workout thing or whatever,
kidding.
on the beach, and it was like a little scene or whatever. And
Get them
and,
all oiled up.
Yeah, get them all oiled up. Yeah. They're all working out. The one dude,
The cinematography.
yeah. He was like the second guy we were following, Pulpazai. He was like out of shape, pot belly. He's like, fuck this. And we're like filming, and he's like, I don't want to do this. And the one kid's like ripped. He's like, I'm trying to go SF. You know? And the main guy we were following, he was in running shape at least.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's
Pulpazai
cool,
was
man.
like, fuck. He's like, Pulpazai was the Afghans we worked with, just pot belly, out of shape. Like, don't fuck.
Eating all that naan and rice, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ate a lot of palau on that trip. Yeah. So anyways, but it was crazy running into that kid, and he was like, I showed him photos, and he was like, that was we were there when he was a child, 8 or 9 years old.
So cool, dude.
It was it was cool to like show him that, because he was like, I remember that as a kid, and he doesn't have photos of anything. So I showed him, I was like, here's photos of Sorobi with
amazing
with trees. And he's like, the trees aren't there, and they cut them down or something years later. Like when he was in his late teens or whatever.
Right,
he was only 21. So
wow.
Yeah, it's wild. It's like wild to think about that.
Sure is.
And the differences too, because I remember Cop Rocco was. It wasn't more than like 1 or 2 rotations. In fact, I think it was already taken over by the AMP or the ANA within like not even a year. And then after that, we don't even know. It's like I was like, and part of me is like, well, if the French pulled out someone in Fob Toro. You remember Fob Toro?
Yep.
That was a massive fob. That was a big jump off fob.
Huge, yeah.
When did that go?
Right.
When did they pull back from that? And I had talked to guys that had been there years later in 2019, and everything had sucked into like Kabul, and I was there in 2012, and things were already in shaky grounds because the election. In 2012, they didn't know, they didn't know if they were going to pull out or not. Like they thought they were going to end the war in 2012. Like that was like a election talking point with Obama and McCain. Mm-hmm. So I was a contractor. I was doing high risk security details, and then we were like, "Are we going to be done out of a job? Come November? Like, do I got to
be out of a job?
Am I going to be out of a fucking job? Yeah. So, anyways, but. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah,
that is cool, man.
Yeah,
I hope that kid's doing well.
Yeah, I hope he is too. I wish I could actually remember. I'd have to call my director and be like,
be a cool guest.
If he did go SF. I mean, it's been. Well, I guess that was last summer, so I don't know if he was like trying to work on it.
Yeah,
but
what was he doing at the time?
I don't know what he was doing. Because the evac was 21, and then that was 23, so it was a year and a half later. And so I think he was 21 when we filmed him, because that was last summer. And then this is 3 years later. So I don't know what he's up to now, but I'd have to take a look.
There's probably some YouTube influencer.
yeah, something like that. That's where you go, man. YouTube. That's
exactly.
Where it's at.
It's an open market.
Yeah, I'd be like, just interview all the Afghans or the evac, or something like that. Yeah, that's wild.
There's a million ways to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ideas are endless.
Yeah, but I don't know. There was a YouTuber I was following. I watched it, I think, before the fall. He'd gone, and he loved Afghanistan. It was kind of that same thing as like, if you don't go, you don't know.
Yeah.
He was like a pretty big travel YouTuber. And he had gone before the fall of Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, this is amazing. I love it. He went back because he was so like enamored with it, and I was like, and that's why I think like when Counoyer said like he didn't get to do what we did. He stayed in that bubble. And I know what that bubble feels like because I did that in Iraq.
Okay.
So you're siloed, these streets, this town, and you never fucking leave it.
Yep.
You'll never leave it. But you know it like the back of your hand.
Yeah.
Whereas like what we got to do was to just see the whole mass amount of the country.
And I'm glad we're having this conversation because I've never really looked back on it like that on that deployment with 111.
Yeah.
If I'm being 100% honest, I often look back on it with some frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's just because you got to look at it because I come from the infantry and you're so siloed.
Yeah.
But the fact that what we got to do on 1 Tag 11 was, our Afghan deployment was Like no one gets to do that.
Yeah.
And special operations really don't even get to do it. Like
God, no.
SF guys are maybe the only ones that get to do it.
Yeah.
Like because they get to move around.
Yeah.
But like SEALs don't do it. None of them do
those
that.
guys,
No one does that. They stay in their little base.
Mm-hmm.
They go do the hit and they come back. And they don't get to see the valleys or like go into the markets or then
right?
travel. Yeah, man. I mean, like, if you think about it, like we went up through to Gob Valley where Hyatt and Senior were, and then we go back down to Sorobi, and then you travel back up Oozbin.
Yeah.
And then you get our valley split, and we got to see that. And then we got to go to see Fob Tora. And then you'd go through J-Bad Pass where you'd be like, please God, don't fuck. You know, you'd see the Russian vehicles turned over.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then you got to go into Kabul. And, you know, and I got to see Kabul a lot more as a contractor.
Yeah,
obviously, because we worked that. But we didn't do a ton while we were there. We got to see, like, kind of some of it, but not. Like
Phoenix East, basically.
Yeah, I got to see, like, all of it. But, like, you know, you got Black Horse and you had, you know, it was Atlas at the time. Fuck, what was it? It was Atlas was the SF compound. It was the base it was on. Fuck, can't remember. We went to it as well. It was the same base. It was like Camp something, but then it was Camp Atlas was the SF compound within that, and it was the one in Kabul next to the embassy. And all that shit. Fuck, I can't remember the name of it. But yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. But it was cool, like, jumping around as a contractor.
Sure.
Out of Bagram. Even, like, Bagram, man. Like, I got to do 13 different fobs. My first contract before your wedding. Then remember?
Really?
Remember I came back.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to extend that mission. They're like, hey, do you want to stay in country for another 2 months? I was like, with Zachem.
Oh, yeah.
Z.
Cool.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck no.
Get me out of here.
Yeah. I was like, get me out of here. I got my $28,000 in the bank account, you know, out for 2 months of work, or 3 months of work, and fuck yeah. Showed up to your wedding.
That's crazy.
Put the dancing shoes on.
Yeah, you sure did. The Running Man like nobody's business. Yeah. I know. Now look at you, dude. You're fully domesticated.
Yeah.
2 kids.
You know.
Doing your thing, man. Killing it. Absolutely killing it.
Yeah. Well, you too, man. You got yourself 2 kids.
Yep.
We didn't even get into your being a cop and being a firefighter.
No, I mean, I don't know where you're at with your minute mark here.
I think Luke Counoyer might be a part 2.
Maybe.
Yeah,
just a touch.
Perfect.
Touch
there.
Yeah.
All right. How about we talk? Let's do it. We'll do a part 2 of Luke Counoyer here
sounds good.
in the next few months.
Yeah.
But I know you love being a cop, the narcotics aspect of it. So what was some of the thrilling stuff that you can correlate between combat deployments?
Yeah, I think the best part, I mean, you know, that the best part about that job, and it's also what I love about being a fireman too, you know, it's a much slower pace and it's not as much head work, but you know, just being in a unit, right? Like I've played team sports my whole life, got into the Navy, ended up in a team atmosphere there, and I was doing the same thing as a police officer. I was, you know, in a unit with 20 guys, and everybody had their own things going on as far as investigations go, but everybody was working together to help each other finish that investigation or see it through. So, and the autonomy that we had to do the work was something that I really gravitated to as well. So yeah, I mean, being a police officer, while it ran its course and, you know, came to an end, it certainly was a good time while I was doing it.
Yeah.
And that pendulum just swung so far left as far as perception and the way that police were having a function in their job. It went the opposite way that I wanted to be in, and I just called it quits.
Yeah.
Said I'm out.
You said, I'm going to run into houses that are on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was 15, you know, if you asked me what I wanted to do, I would have told you I either wanted to teach history and coach soccer, or I wanted to be a fireman and a barber.
Yeah.
You know, that was really the 2 things that I wanted to do in my life. I took the police test just as like a fail-safe when I was getting out of the Navy. And then I was going through the hiring process for the fire department and the police department at the same time. And I just told myself I'll just take whatever comes first. That's how I ended up as a police officer.
Oh, shit.
Yep. Yep. That's literally it. I went to the police academy December 13th, 2010. And the Friday before, I've got my duffel bag packed. I've got all the stuff that they want you to have to start the academy Monday morning, and it's like noon on Friday before, and I get a phone call from the deputy chief of the fire department saying, "Hey, congratulations, we start in January." I'm like, "All right, cool, I'll be right down. I'll sign the list." I hang up the phone. I'm sitting there with my wife. I'm like, "Fuck." You know, this is exactly the moment I didn't want. I didn't want to have to make the choice. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm just going to stick with my plan. I'm going to do whatever came first. Mm-hmm. Police department hired me first, so I went there first.
Yeah.
So
I think I remember that.
Yeah. Fast forward 13 years almost later, and went to the fire academy at 39.
It's prime
time, baby.
Prime time to go.
Dan, Ethan, you know how I roll, dude. I just showed up. You know?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's definitely for the second half of my time as a civil servant. You know, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
So
fuck yeah, bro.
fucking amen.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
An honor.
First
I love
one.
you, bro.
I love you.
What a great thing this is. I had a lot of fun, man. Thanks for having me.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
First one in the books.
There you go. Congratulations.